Well, Rusty, judging from the talk between Mark Scaife and Jeff Grech that we've been listening to, they're still undecided, as you say. They really don't know what to do. Do you gamble on copping a drive-through? Or start from pit lane, and you can hear it.
Let's start from pit lane. I'm arguing now.
Continually discussing this situation. Let's take a look at the starting grid as it stands for now. Marcus Ambrose will start from position number 1 after winning race 1. Next to him is Greg Murphy, the Kiwi in the Kmart Racing Commodore. David Bernard from position 3, and Todd Kelly makes it an all Stone Brothers, all Kmart first 2 rows. Scaife will now get a drive-through penalty, we understand, so he'll start from position 5. Richards, Lowndes, Tander moved up a whole heap of positions in race 1. John Bowe starts from position number 9. Stephen Ellery in a top 10 start for the final race of the season.
Yellow boxes down the right-hand side of the Nintendo GameCube starting grid tells you where they qualified. Of course, they start race 2 from where they finished race 1, so you get an idea how they're going throughout the weekend. Good performance from Dean Canto, up to 17th after qualifying 32nd, doing a great job in the Cat 600 Ford.
Yeah, and he started from pit lane as well. They're trying some different things at Briggs Motorsport with car number 600. Russell Ingall will start from right down the back of the grid, and so too will his team boss Larry Perkins from position 30 in his final race ever, solo race that is, in the V8 Supercars. On board we will be with Junior Johnson, car 17 for the Shell Helix Racing outfit, looking to finish this season on something of a high because it's been a horror season for them. Stephen Ellery also will be on board with the super cheap auto car.
Well, we hear that David Bernard has picked up a misfire in the Caltex Haviland car. Darryl?
Yes, he's the boy said he had smoke coming out of the bonnet and a misfire, and he's now just driven the car straight into the pits. This is definitely a situation that Marcus Ambrose had this morning with a misfire. It was a rotor in the distributor, but these boys are going like mad now. There's a fire under the bonnet.
Well, drama upon drama. Big fuel spill at Holden Racing Team. Now the Stone Brothers.
Give it a wipe out, just get rid of that shit.
Ford teams with a big drama going on in the garage. Saw Marcus Ambrose come in the warm-up session this morning with an ignition problem in the Pertec Ford. They were able to fix that and get him back out. Now another underbonnet gremlin affecting the sister car. 2
incredibly dangerous situations down there. You saw the fuel left behind at the Holden Racing Team garage, and of course a fire underneath the lid of car number 9. Craig Lowndes gears up, so too does Marcus Ambrose. Hands on the tools, time to get down to business for the final time this season. This is the V8 Ultimate, the better electrical race to wrap up 2002. It is Ford versus Holden from the front of the grid, and we're underway under clear skies at Sandown, and Greg Murphy shoots past Marcus Ambrose, and it looks as though Todd Kelly wants to go with him in a drag down the front straight. A great start from Murphy, sorry Marcus. Greg Murphy takes turn 1 all by himself. Ambrose settles into second position. Down the back, one of the better electrical cars shoots off. That'll be Max Wilson, it looks like. A great start from the Kiwi. He really got the power down, and Todd Kelly looked as though he was going to take it up to Marcus Ambrose as well. The Stone Brothers Racing crew have fixed up David Bernard's car, and he'll rejoin the race from pit lane.
Looks like a relatively clean start through that S-bend around the back of the circuit. Very, very tight. Tall, aggressive curbing. Everyone's got to behave themselves. Full tanks of fuel. They've got a long, long way to go. And it looks like a relatively clean getaway. Here they come down the S's for the first time into Dandenong Road. Let's check out the Ford race analysis for the better electrical V8 Ultimate. 35 starters in total. About 300 kilometres the distance. That's going to require tyre changes and refuelling. And Todd Kelly, the reigning champ, who took this race in atrocious wet conditions last year. You couldn't have more different conditions in 2002.
I can tell you that's down to 34 now, that starter list, because Matthew White, who turned up here in car number 24 yesterday, decided he couldn't go on with it, just didn't have enough underneath to match it with these guys. And here's Mark Scaife serving his drive-through penalty as a result of that fuel spill. So in on lap 2, he's doing the long drive up pit lane, Rusty.
He certainly is, Matty. A drive-through penalty. Under the rules in situations like this, we should bear in mind back to Bathurst, the officials have a number of things at their fingertips that they can issue. Either a drive-through penalty, a time penalty, they can issue a fine of up to $15,000, or you can face exclusion. It's all based upon what they assess to be the danger in that fuel spill.
Yeah, he's got a big job in front of him now. You can see Mark Scaife going through turn 1. Here's the lead of the field. About half a lap ahead. That drive-through takes about 30 seconds. So he's dumped a ton of time. Looking out the roof of the Pertec Ford. Getting right up behind the Kmart Commodore in these opening laps. Ambrose, the dominant winner of race 1 yesterday afternoon, but that was half the distance of this event.
Just a clarification on that drive-through penalty. That was actually for Scaife leaving pit lane. The pit lane was closed, so they messed up the timing there as a result of that spill. So that was the drive-through penalty that he served. But on board we go with Marcus Ambrose as he chases down the man who took the lead off him from the very start of this race, Greg Murphy in car number 51.
Fastest man on the track is Stephen Richards there. Car 16 is a big
Oh, that's Dean
smoke.
Canto.
Wow, let's see, had a big engine blow up in the Cat Ford. Look at this. Monumental. Mechanical failure. The smoke's filling the cabin as well. So poor old Dean Canto, after such a great run yesterday, looks like he's... Oh, there's smoke pouring from that car. He's going to have to get it right off the racing line. And he is out of this one. Now what's he going to do? Try and limp it around to the pits? Let's have a look at the Nintendo GameCube replay of the start. You can see Murphy got a great start. Lowndes tucked in there behind Scaife. Crompton went wide over the white line, so you can see as they start to form this arrowhead shape, a relatively clean start. It was a good battle by Todd Kelly and Marcus Ambrose under brakes, but the Pertec Ford nudged in front. So here's the battle. The Kmart sandwich. Greg Murphy leading this one. The Pertec Falcon right up behind his rear wing. Ambient temperature about 26 degrees today. The track temperature is more than 10 degrees hotter than it was yesterday. About 40 degrees when they stick the heat reader into the bitumen. So that's a massive jump in temperature compared to yesterday's race, and they've got double the distance to go. So tyre durability here is going to be a big factor.
That last lap, Marcus Ambrose was 0.2 of a second quicker than Greg Murphy as he was tucked up right underneath the rear of the Kmart Commodore. There's Stephen Richards in 4th position at the moment. 5th is Craig Lowndes. Then car 427 this weekend. Here's Garth Tander, but Marcus Ambrose has shot through, gone straight past Murphy. Along the back straight they go, and he's reclaimed the top position.
Well, he's a man on a mission. This Pertec Ford has been fast from the moment they dropped it on the track on Friday. He really has dominated a lot of the sessions, fastest in the warm-up this morning. So now he takes over the lead. Fastest man on the circuit is his teammate. Here's a Nintendo replay of that overtake. Murphy got a bit wide on the exit to turn 4. Ambrose was able to capitalise. Let's have a look at it from the Pertec Ford's point of view. Yeah, all messy coming out of turn 4. And Ambrose right up the inside. So now he's got some nice clean air to run in as we go inside the John Briggs Motorsport garage. Smoke pouring from the Caterpillar car. And we've even got Dean Canto out of the car already. Major failure there, which is a shame because he made good progress yesterday. So it's Ambrose, Murphy, Kelly. Fastest man on the circuit is David Bernard. A 1:13.01 on full tanks of gas. And got cars coming down pit lane already. Car 2, Jason Bright. Car 8, Russell Ingall. And keep in mind the pits are open for the first of the compulsory stops. Now, Rusty?
Guys can tell you they are warning the drivers, particularly Russell, Ingall and Jason Bright. Good stop by Jason Bright, just over 7 seconds quicker than Ingall's stop. They're warning the drivers who are making their way into pit lane to be careful of oil, which may possibly have come down from the Cat Ford.
So very early stops for the Holden Racing Team car number 2. Russell Ingall in as well. And keep in mind, they've got to do a compulsory stop for tyres, a compulsory stop for fuel, but beyond that, they can make as many stops as they like. So you may see a situation in this race for some of these teams, depending on how the tyre wear is, making more than the one compulsory stop for tyres. Grant?
Yeah, Dean Canto, you were 5th in New Zealand, but a dramatic exit today. You really choked on some of that.
Yeah, the oil was pretty thick in the car. Just at the end of the straight there, something let go in the oil system, and we're not sure what it is, but yeah, it looks pretty terminal.
Tough break. Thanks, mate.
22-year-old, another driver who you can throw in the mix for possibly a full-time seat next season. He's trying to do a deal and can't confirm anything. He's still sniffing around. Larry Perkins comes in. And Rick Kelly also.
Well, it's interesting to see who's going to have the freshest rubber at the end of this one. Keep in mind, each car was allocated only 12 tyres for the race. They've just about worn out a set in yesterday's event, so there's not a lot of fresh rubber going around amongst these cars. But I think what's happening here, a lot of these teams taking a conservative strategy. They want to get those compulsory stops out of the way, because you are not allowed to make a compulsory stop under a safety car period. So if they get those two legalities out of the way, it opens up a few options for later in the race in terms of making additional stops. Rusty?
They had some difficulty with the front left on Larry Perkins' car during that stop, which cost some vital seconds. Rick Kelly came in behind him, but went out in front.
Some frantic pick work down here at Team Brock, unfortunately. Craig Baird snapped the drive shaft just off the start-finish line there, putting 600 horsepower down around this place. It's quite difficult because of the bumps as well, going down into turn one and coming onto the back straight. So frantic work to try and get him back out. This is a long race. There is still some valuable sponsorship time to maintain.
And with a full tank of gas, 120 litres, Grant, that's an enormous load on the drivetrain, particularly this low gear, low speed stuff where you're giving it full throttle. Do see transmission problems every now and again for V8 supercars at Sandown Raceway. It's a unique challenge. And this man now is the fastest man on the circuit, Marcus Ambrose, a 1:12.74 as he starts to open the gap. 1.6 seconds. There's the last 5 laps. And Murphy going quicker than Ambrose on only one of them.
Ambrose moved up to 5th in the championship race after yesterday's first race victory. As Mark said, the only man out there in the moment to go under 1:13. He's been so quick since back on Friday. They came here and had a practice, and then qualifying. He's been quick in every session he's been out in. You see how wide they get on the exit of turn 9.
We're losing ground to the front group.
Lowndes in 5th position.
Oscar Fiorinato warning his driver there, we're losing ground to the leaders. So looking at the speed of this car throughout the weekend, it was tremendous in the top 15 shootout. Had good pace on a full tank and a light tank of fuel yesterday. So maybe Lowndes has found himself boxed once again in behind Stephen Richards. Lap after lap he tried to get past this car in race 1. Had a real braking duel at the end of the back straight, but the Castrol car tremendous under late braking conditions.
Interesting, DJR, Paul Radisich in for tyres also. A lot of guys in around this pit window, but also speaking to Paul Sepranich, Paul Morris's engineer, saying that fuel-wise, these guys are going to come in around 35. The earlier the better. They don't want to get hung out by a pace car.
Oh, look at this challenge here by Lowndes. There's lock brakes coming into that turn. Stephen Richards, he always managed to grapple his way out of trouble. And we're hearing from Marcus Ambrose reporting a slight miss in the Pertec Ford's engine at low revs. Keep an eye on that, but they have been struck down with a bit of an ignition problem in the warm-up this morning. They were able to fix it very quickly, but hopefully that's not a re-emergence of those problems.
This is a carbon copy of the battle that we saw in race 1 with Craig Lowndes just constantly on the hammer of Stephen Richards. And in fact, Garth Tander was also behind that yesterday as well. John Bowes there as part of that little train. Now, look at this replay shows that Richo gets a little bit of a lock-up, and Lowndes gives him a tap along the way. In fact, as I mentioned, a carbon copy, that was almost the same spot where they ended up coming to grief in race 1. They'd been dueling lap after lap.
Holding us up, Craig. We need to get past. Seems he's about half a second slower.
And at the end of this long back straight, right there at that spot it was, Lowndes got a bit of a lock-up and put his nose right into the rear of Stephen Richards. It ended in tears.
Interesting situation now. Richo gets it wrong again into the corner at the end of the S's. Lowndes has a go. He's had the speed-up call from the team. Come on, we've got to get past Richo. He's holding you up. Obviously feel the 00 Motorsport car has more pace than the Castrol machine if he's got a clear bit of road, and you can see the queue now starting to form. That's always an indicator that a car is starting to hold up some cars. Look at them starting to queue up behind him now. This is not an ideal condition for engine temperature as well. We've got a pretty high ambient temperature here today, and these cars running in behind another one, it can actually send the coolant temperatures up quite dramatically in a very short space of time.
Well, one of the things that Larry Perkins looked for when he was searching for a driver to replace him, and he found in Stephen Richards, was a driver that was cool and calm. He said to me just about an hour ago that the one good thing, the big thing that Stephen Richards brings to your team is an air of calmness about him and coolness about him. He doesn't have too many good or bad days off the other end of the scale. In fact, he's normally level all the way along. And that's been reflected in the way that he's just held off challenges all the way throughout the season. Right now, he's under maximum pressure from Craig Lowndes. The championship points as they stand after round 13 are getting very interesting, from 2nd down to 6th. those guys are still in the hunt for second in the championship picture.
Well, he's now slipped about 6 seconds behind race leader Marcus Ambrose. So what can Craig Lowndes do here? Well and truly stuck in with him. Marcus Ambrose is coming into the pits. Not sure if this will be for his compulsory stop. I imagine they'll get one of them out of the way, but the bonnet comes up on the Pertec Ford. We'll know that what we've heard about that low-speed miss may be a genuine problem. So the order: Ambrose, Murphy, Kelly, Stephen Richards, Craig Lowndes, Garth Tander, John Bowe well placed in these opening laps. Stephen Johnson's up into the top 10 as well. Crompton's there too in the second of the 00 cars. Paul Wheel, K&J Thermal Machine, he's doing very well on the opening laps of this one inside the top 10. Steve Johnson, Shell Helix in-car camera as he traces this leading bunch. And there's some big changes coming for Dick Johnson Racing next year. A major team reshuffle under new general manager Steve Chalker, former marketing boss of CUB, and boy, he really is starting to put the broom through that place. He's turning it upside down, inside out. We can expect a lot of changes, particularly in levels of personnel. Here the cars are also going to have a dramatically different appearance next year, so there's a lot to look forward to when Shell kick off season 2003 with the new BA Falcons.
There's been some deep heart-to-hearts going on at Dick Johnson Racing. We'll talk more about that as we continue live V8 Supercar action with Marcus Ambrose leading the way. He does have a misfire though. Greg Murphy in second at the moment. Todd Kelly, Stephen Richards, Craig Lowndes, Garth Tander, John Bowe, Stevie Johnson in 8th. Crompton is in 9th and Paul Wheel is in 10th position. Our final race of 2002. How will it pan out?
Keep an eye in this race on Neil Crompton, because the word is, and this is from Cromley himself, this is almost certainly his last V8 Supercar race.
Yeah, we're starting to get some word through on driver changes for next season and driver confirmations. We understand that Cameron McConville has now officially re-signed with Lansvale for the next 2 years. So Cameron McConville will still be in the number 3 car. So if you've got your rumour sheet out, you can tick him off and line him up with the Lansvale Smash Repairs team for another couple of years. This is the battle group we're watching. 4th down to 7th. Richards and Lowndes are still going toe-to-toe. Grant Denyer.
Yeah, just strange to note that Paul Wheel just came in to change all of his tyres. Quite an early strategy, considering it's a long way to go on your second set of tyres. You're going to have very soggy rubber by the end of it. You only have to look back at Greg Murphy yesterday to realise he was battling to maintain his tyres towards the end of that race, and they only had half the temperature of what we got today. So those who have nothing to lose are really trying an early strategy here today.
Yeah, it's a long way to go, isn't it? On one set of tyres, 96 laps, minus 15. That's going to be hard work, and no one knows just how these tyres are going to hang in here. Yesterday's race was running much cooler conditions, running with a full tank of fuel, grinding around here lap after lap under full green conditions. It's going to be interesting to see how the tyres hang in there. We may see people making extra stops for rubber as this race unfolds.
The update on Ambrose is that the car had a misfire out of the slow turns, but up high in the rev range it was fine. So they played with a few different fuel mixtures. Car seems fine, and it definitely still has good pace. He set the quickest lap just a few laps ago.
He certainly has, and Darrell, he's actually been going in a bit of a head-to-head battle at opposite ends of the racetrack as far as the fastest lap goes with his teammate David Bernard. They're both gone into the 112s. 112.475 is Bernard's best. 112.520 is Marcus Ambrose's best. So Stone Brothers Racing have got the mix right here. Lap 17 of 96. And Ambrose continues to do the job.
6.9 seconds his lead over Greg Murphy. Todd Kelly in 3rd. Stephen Richards and Craig Lowndes still fighting over 4th and 5th. We ride in the Pertec Falcon.
Marcus is Morris, and after that there's Radicic in the Shell car. They've done a pit stop.
Check out the telemetry here, up over 260 Ks as he brings it into turn 5. Now through the S's.
Mr. Minimal movement, isn't he? Have a listen to the engine as he comes out of here. Well, if he is struggling with a misfire at low speed, it's not affecting his overall lap speed. He's still one of the 2 fastest cars on the circuit, both he and David Bernard, running in the mid-12s.
Murphy, so just take your time, keep it clean through this marked traffic.
Now here they've shown a bad sportsmanship flag to car 31, the better electric, Super Cheap Autos Falcon, I should say, of Stephen Ellery, continually hitting tyre markers apparently, and the officials watching very closely on this curb hopping rule. So Stephen Ellery better watch it, could be in trouble. Here's Craig Lowndes still trying to find a way around car 16. Seen urged on by his chief engineer Oscar Fiorinotto. Come on Craig, you got to get a move on. Just in the break we heard Craig saying, well, there is nothing I can do about it. He's very strong under brakes. I can't match him in a straight line. So he's pretty much boxed in there for the moment. There's his teammate Neil Crompton having a great drive in his last appearance with 00 in 8th position. And has he picked up another plastic bag? Well, that's what haunted this car at Mount Panorama.
Well, I saw him on V8 Superstars flogging that new style bag of his, and can you believe it? Another bit of junk has jumped up and wrapped itself around the front. The 00 Motorsport Ford Falcon. He's come up 5 places today since the start of this race. Good race yesterday. Just been working his way through midfield, Cromley. Moved up 13 positions during race 1 to finish 12th.
That won't hurt the performance of the car where it is now, but if it manages to tumble down into the air intake directly below where it is, that could cause some havoc.
Check the grill, it's okay, no problem.
The 00 car sitting in there, a strong, consistent position. Now we're hearing from the Stone Brothers team messages that Ambrose is complaining of some steering trouble. So we'll keep you posted on that. Back on board our race leader, Ambrose, 7.3 seconds.
Steering's going quite light, and a lot of right hand down, a lot of right hand down.
Hey Marcus, I want you to pit this lap.
Copy that, come into the pit.
So he's coming in to try and get some work done on the car this lap around. Paul Forgy, chief mechanic on car 4, telling his driver we've got to bring in and have a look at this. And you can see there that he's consistently faster than Murphy on 4 out of 5 occasions. So the problems that he's suffering with this car not really affecting his race speed at this stage. Here he comes. Hits the 40km/h speed limiter. It's a long, long run up here. 30 seconds.
It's very wobbly, something's broken or come loose. Feels like maybe it's a bracket. I don't know. The steering's still turning left and right okay, but just very sloppy inside the cockpit.
Well, you heard it there. First-hand report from Marcus Ambrose. The team's now got to find the problem. He said he feels like something's broken in the steering. So this could be a long stop. Tyre change still continuing. And they send him back out again.
Everything, the suspension feels fine, Marcus. We've checked both front wheels. There's nothing loose.
He's been very consistent this year. Marcus Ambrose, 22 out of 28 races. He's finished in the top 10, and of course, yesterday collected the 2nd race win of his career and of this year.
Just rejoined in front of his teammate, Matty. David Bernard is running in 19th place, so he's dropped about 18 positions there. So is there a problem here for the Pertec Falcon? We'll keep an eye on that. First complaint of a low-speed miss in the opening laps of the race.
Come that fall, I'm going to keep going.
So he's determined just to keep
Hey
going.
Marcus, is it better now?
Wait and see, mate, I'll tell you.
So it's a suck it and see exercise. Just try and get a few more laps out of it, see what's going on here. But Ambrose's race speed's still good, despite these problems that he's battling with. That lets Murphy up into the lead with Todd Kelly behind. It's a Kmart 1-2 at the front. Richards now moves up to 3rd. Lowndes goes up to 4th. Tander to 5th. As Ambrose starts to grind out some hard laps here and fight his way back into contention. No safety cars in yesterday's race. That was quite extraordinary. 48 laps without one safety car. It ran full green. And I tell you, some of these teams were on very, very low fuel loads by the time they got to the end of that event. So running 96 laps under full green with no safety car, it's going to really put a premium on fuel use. Rusty?
This problem for Marcus Ambrose has really got the Stone Brothers a little puzzled. We've just spoken to both Ross and Jimmy and Paul Forgy, who looks after car 4. Now, these are the front 2 tyres which came off Marcus's car. There is no visible damage to either the rims or the tyres, so they're not quite sure what may be causing that drama. And as you said, it's a case of suck it and see right now.
Yeah, some debate down here at 00 Motorsport, what to do with Craig Lowndes. You've seen him with his nose right under the back of Richo's car at the moment, and it's obviously a little bit of a danger where you're right in the heat of things there. He's not getting clear air to his engine, so they're contemplating bringing him in a little early. They're saying it's marginal as to whether to bring him in now because, again, you've still got a long way to go on your rubber, but I think you'll find if he stays there for the next 5 laps, they will have to bring Craig Lowndes in.
Yeah, I guess they'll be trying to stretch not only their first fuel load, but also their first set of tyres, so their second set is as fresh as possible. Trouble is, though, this is what happens. You get boxed in. The performance of V8 supercars are so similar now that if a car in front is just a fraction slower than you can see the frustration here for Craig Lowndes. He just cannot find a way past this Castrol Commodore. So when they pull him out of here and get him in for his compulsory stop, he may have an opportunity to run on a clear bit of track. And you can be sure the team tacticians will be watching that, and then the engine men will be watching too. You can see Lowndes there ducking out of the draft of the car in front to try and get a bit of cool air into that engine. The Kmart team and the 00 Motorsport team are setting up for pit stops pretty soon. Craig Lowndes just has not been able to find a way around Stephen Richards from the start of this race. He battled all the way with the Castrol Commodore driver. In race 1 yesterday afternoon, a similar situation. No matter how deep he went under brakes, no matter what he tried, he couldn't get past. There's Greg Murphy letting his first compulsory stop. 23 of 96. Boy, we've got a long way to go.
Tell you what, that lap of Craig Lowndes in the shootout was just an awesome lap. Didn't get in pole position because Marcus Ambrose came out, but if you missed it, you missed one of the great laps. It was a real flyer. Greg Murphy is in control at the moment as he exits pit lane.
There's Marcus Ambrose trying to fight his way back through the field. He comes up the inside of the Lansvale Racing Team Commodore. McConville's running in 15th, so Ambrose will take that position away. Still showing good race speed, Ambrose, in the Pertec car. 12.5 his fastest lap. Weaving his way through traffic. Just under 13.6. So the lap times will move up and down as these cars hit lumps of traffic. To the order, still Kelly now. His teammates come in and stop. Richards in second. Lowndes in third. Tander in fourth. Bow in fifth. And Brad Jones behind him. So the two Aussie male Fords in the top 6 looking strong at the moment. Ooh. David Bernard in the background there going right over the curbs in the Caltex Haviland car. Mark Scaife, meanwhile, has been fighting his way back from that drive-through penalty. He's up to 12th now. And up to 11th as a result of John Bow coming in for that stop. So Kelly leads now by 8 seconds over Stephen Richards. Lowndes in third. John Bow rejoins the battle. Lap 24 of 96. Well, the teams are saying that there's quite a narrow window there, somewhere in the region of lap 40 or thereabouts, where they can burn off, or will have burnt off enough fuel that when they refuel, they've got enough gas to go to the end. Let's have a look on the Nintendo replay. Troubles for the VIP Pet Foods car. Cameron McLean went straight across the dirt, dragged a whole lot of garbage onto the track. Looks like he's been able to continue. So it's going to be interesting to see where these teams come in for their compulsory fuel change. Lowndes now has had enough of that. They've pulled him out. He drives through the Kmart pit into the 00 area.
Yeah, this is a stop of necessity, not strategy for Craig Lowndes. They were just risking too much. Oh, and he stalls it on the way out till that's just a second or two lost there. But they feel that now that they'll be able to run in some clear air, that it'll be a much quicker 00 car.
Yeah, well, he persisted there for a long time, 25 laps almost. Paul Morris is out of the Sirame Wines machine. Well, they're pushing this one back into the garage, so an early retirement there for the Queensland team. Just over quarter race distance. So Lowndes rejoins in the 00 car. Jess comes out in front of car 2, Jason Bright.
Need a quick out lap here, Craig, because Richo's going to pit now.
So you can hear the call there, make as much hay while the sun shines. He's got some clear track in front of him. Very important chance to get in front of Stephen Richards when he comes in for his stop.
Let's check out the Shell Helix race score. Todd Kelly in position number 1. Richards is getting ready to pit. Garth Tander, Brad Jones, Jason Barguana make up your top 5. Crompton has moved up to 6th. Stephen Ellery there in 7th. Tony Longhurst in position 8. Mark Scaife is mowing his way through the field. He's putting down some good times. We'll take a break from Sandown and return with more. The V8 Supercar Championship.
And the word is he's come out in front of Craig on the track, so that battle will resume, and Junior Johnson's in between them. But we are under safety car now for the first time this weekend, and there's a good reason for that, because we've had a fairly big stack at the end of the back straight. That's turn 5, and this is it. Cameron McConville. Well, this is the aftermath, but I'll tell you what, the actual incident was pretty scary for Cameron. You would not like to be in the driver's seat, Matty, when that happened.
Wait until you see the crunch here at the top left-hand side of your screen. He's carrying 260 plus. Look at the impact. It throws the Lansvale car completely around and almost back onto the track. Solid impact right on the front right-hand side of that car. Cameron McConville got out okay, but you're going to have to remove that car from that part of the circuit. That is the quickest part of the circuit, probably the most dangerous. So he's lucky to get out of that.
Gee, you'd hope that wasn't a component failure, wouldn't you? They've had a few things breaking on this car throughout the year. It's had plenty of speed on a number of occasions, but always let down with simple mechanical failures at a broken gear stick or gear linkage. Yesterday we've seen failures with the rack and pinion system and the steering. So hopefully that wasn't a failure at such a critical part of the racetrack. Darryl?
Paul, what's happened to the car?
Oh, it's developed a power steering fluid leak and eventually, ran out of power steering.
Any chance you're going to fix it and go back out?
Oh, there's not much point. We weren't that quick. There's a lot of cars out there with a lot of straight line handling, so we need to work on that before we come racing again.
All right, mate, thanks.
Thanks.
So Paul Morris is another victim, and
straight line handling, it's a good line. Plenty of horsepower out there. Yeah, look, that's the impact point for the Lansvale Racing Team Commodore, and didn't he drill it? That presents a problem now for race director Tim Schenken. He's got to make sure the track is in a safe condition before they resume racing. Let's have a look at this again on the Nintendo replay. Now watch this, he's way out of control and crunch.
Oh.
I wonder if he's ripped the right front suspension completely out of the car. That was a huge hit.
Look where it almost ended up. Well, it did end up back out on the track.
Yeah, you got thrown right back out there.
And that guardrail that we were just looking at before actually was kind of a nice smooth curve before car number 3 decided to go in and put its nose into it sideways. So Cameron McConville ends 2002 not the way he wanted to. He's had 2 top 10 performances this season, and if you've just joined us, he has re-signed with Lansvale for another 2 years. So Cameron McConville will be back. Now, understand we've got Marcus Ambrose ready to have a chat as we continue under safety car conditions. You got us, Marcus?
Yeah, mate, only just speak up, buddy.
It's Matty White here, mate. Just want to know how your tyres are going. I heard you talking to your team saying that you've been staying off the curbs.
Yeah, mate, that first set of tyres, I thought I had a problem with the front suspension there because it started to go all funny on me, but coming onto the straight there, the asphalt's breaking up and there's a lot of marbles down, so we put it down to that, but just as a safety measure, we're staying off the curbs. We've got enough speed without hitting them, so, I just stay off them and be a good boy.
Now, Marcus, we also heard early in the race you were complaining of a low-speed miss. What's the story there?
Yeah, that's right. Don't really know what's going on there. It's just a mixture problem, I think, just really low in the revs when I say coming on to where I am now, coming onto the back straight and coming out down the right corner, quite low in the RPM and just floods a little bit, so it's probably doing us a bit of a favour because it's stopping the tyres and spinning up. So it's not cost me any time. I just want to let the guys know in case they can do something about it.
How's the traffic out there at the moment?
Oh yeah, I tell you, some of them aren't playing very fair.
Yeah.
I'm putting my lap down and they're blocking me. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I've got to be careful out here because you can't trust anybody and you just got to do your own race. So I'm playing it safe and hopefully here I can stay in front of Murphy at the start, stretch my legs a bit and get that 4-second buffer back.
You know the rules, mate. It's anything goes in the last round of the season. Good luck for the rest of the race. Thanks for having a chat. Marcus Ambrose there and Greg Murphy now. Have a chat to you. How are you travelling, mate? Car 51, how's it travelling?
Mate, it's bloody hot in here.
Why don't you take that thing off the front of your face?
No, mate, this is doing a world of good, I tell you.
I get nervous when I speak to you. Things start to happen all of a sudden when we start to talk to you. The last time we spoke to you, Mark Scaife pulled out and you pulled ahead and ended up winning Pukekohe.
Well, can you say something about maybe Marcus?
No, can't put the mockers on him. How's it going out there? How are the tyres hanging in?
Yeah, not too bad. That first set was obviously the ones we started yesterday with, and they were okay. You know, the car's going along, but you know, it's not, obviously hasn't got the speed of what the car in front of me's got. But you know, we're just cruising along. I mean, it's not, what are we, quarter of the way yet or something? I mean, yeah, just about quarter of the way. It's a long way to go.
I guess the difficulty for you guys, Murph, is that you've only got 3 sets of tyres for the weekend. You've already burned up a set yesterday, so there's not a lot of fresh rubber going around.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the set I'm on now is the one that's done the least amount of work, and we've really got to look after them. I mean, they've still got to do quick calculation, about 65 odd laps or something. So there's a lot of work to do on these tyres, and this race is only going to get tougher, I reckon, as it goes on, that's for sure.
We just had a graphic there while you were talking, Murph. Said the cabin conditions around 40 degrees plus. I can tell you it's about 22 and lovely in the commentary box.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying that, Matthew. I'll have to come and see you later.
Good luck, mate. You're still in the hunt, of course, for second in the championship as we let Greg Murphy get back to business, and we might just take a moment to understand exactly how that championship picture stands. If Murph finishes 5th or better in this race, he will get second in the championship. Now, Jason Bright is currently 3rd in the championship picture. Brighty needs to win, and he needs Murph to finish 6th or worse. So that's the breakdown of points. Scaife screaming ahead on 2,099. There is a 91-point difference now between Murphy and Bright after yesterday's race. It couldn't have gone any worse for Jason Bright. Darryl Beattie in pit lane.
The boys at Briggs Motorsport not having a very good day. Canto with that line coming off the oil cooler. Now Max Wilson has returned to the track again. They had a link come off the throttle body and it dropped a cylinder, so he's back out now.
Yeah, smallest of things can bring you undone, particularly in endurance racing. We've seen it all throughout the year. And as bulletproof as the basic specification of a V8 supercar is, it really does come down to human input in terms of making sure those thousands of little details are ticked off. The amazing, smallest things that can put you out of a race. Here's Craig Lowndes. Finally got free. Lights are off on the safety car. The trouble is he's re-emerged on the circuit. And he's still behind Stephen Richards in the queue. Mark Scaife fighting his way back very strongly from that drive-through penalty. He's up to 8th now. 29 laps gone.
V8supercar.com.au is a good place to check out some of the rumours and form for next year, and also the 2003 calendar, which has been announced, is also on that website. So make sure you check it out if you want to keep abreast of what's happening next year in the V8 Supercar Championship as we rock and roll again at Sandown for the final time of 2002. Todd Kelly leading the way in the restart. That's Rodney Forbes, car number 7, 427. Goes on the inside. That's Gart Tander and John Faulkner in his final ever V8 Supercar race. Is 4th at the moment.
He's 4th in the queue as the leaders now try and pick their way through the slower cars that are sitting in there. This car's been lapped already. And we've got some drama further back in the pack there. Dust coming up in that very difficult section between turn 2 and 3. Paul Stokel, Stephen Ellery involved. But it looks like most of the pack's been able to get away unscathed. So here they go, green flags waving. We're back to full speed ahead. John Faulkner, a lapped car in there. So too Rodney Forbes, Team Brock. Craig Baird at the wheels, and battle damage there. And he's limping slowly up the back straight.
Paul Stokel's gone straight into the tyre barrier at turn 4. That's a precarious position, so maybe we'll see another safety car if he can't remove what is effectively Anthony Tratt's car for the entire championship. But Anthony Tratt a big crook this weekend, so Stokel's got the job. Gartander comes in.
Well,
it gives you an idea of just how difficult that entry to pit lane is. So look at them all come in now as we...
Well, there's a possibility of a safety car, I guess, so they're all trying to get in there, get these stops done before that safety car comes out. Keep in mind, you cannot make compulsory stops under safety car conditions, Grant.
Well, that pit stop has just caught the whole team unawares there. They were still running the tyres out as Todd drove in. He was supposed to make his stop the lap before the safety car came out, but of course, you can't make a compulsory stop under that period, so hopefully it hasn't hurt him too much, but it was a last-minute decision.
Go.
There's a traffic jam here in pit lane, guys. Both Mark Scaife and David Bernard were set up to do that stop before the safety car for McConville. Now, they've gotten in this time around for tyres, but gee, it was congested trying to get out of pit lane. At this stage, the safety car has not left pit lane.
So everyone rushing in there under full green conditions. Safety car hasn't moved yet. We're hearing that it is coming out onto the circuit, though. Paul Stokell cannot get that car moved. Stephen Ellery was okay. And there it is. Monroe's safety car comes out to pick up the field. So could we have a whole spate of safety car periods here? There's the damage. The back of the Team Brock Commodore. Not quite sure what happened in that first section, but you can see the damage.
Yeah, he popped a crunch in the front and a flat rear right. So Craig Baird is out of the Team Brock car.
I think that's it for the day, folks. Let's have a look at the Nintendo replay. This is after Stokell got going after that. Oh, broken front suspension, or maybe the wheels come loose, but he's got no steering there. And as a result, he goes straight off and into the tyre wall. So Paul Stokell, innocent there. Let's have a look at what's going on down here further in the pack. Ah, well, Holden Racing Team Commodore coming charging through. That turned the Super Cheap Autos Falcon around. And maybe, well, the Stokell incident was a separate incident.
Well, I think Team Brock, I think Craig Baird was involved in Stokell. You can see him coming through at the end there, and we'll go on board with Marcus Ambrose to see if we can understand what's happened. Now, that's further ahead. You can see the Holden Racing Team Commodore to the right of your screen spin around Stephen Ellery, and behind that,
it's a collision between the better electrical car and Seaton. It just goes to show when the cars get back to racing conditions after being behind the safety car, everything gets a bit treacherous. Darryl?
Craig, what's happened out there?
Mate, in the second lap of the race, we broke a tail shaft, so that put us about 10 laps down. And then on the restart, the car, we had good pace in the car. I think we were about the 4th, 5th quickest race lap, but we just had bad luck all weekend and car full of tricks.
Thanks, mate.
No worries, buddy.
We're back at Sandown, still under safety car, and before it leaves the circuit, we're hoping to have a chat with Russell Ingall. Looking to go in car with the Castrol Perkins Commodore for the last time driving that car, incidentally. Are you with us, Rusty?
Yeah, I'm here.
G'day, Russ. It's Mark Osler. How's the car going so far?
Oh, mate, we just sort of cruised through that first sector because I stopped pretty early. As soon as the pit window opened, I was in, throwing tyres at it because that was the best thing to do. Because I started off 25th, and the pace is just too slow back there. You know, you drop 2 seconds a lap, so you're better off pitting early, get the tyres in, get the tyres on straight out. Downside is I'm going to do a hell of a lot of laps on these set of tyres, like 94 or 93 laps on a set of tyres, so might get a little bit squeezy towards the end.
Yeah, it's been a tough call, hasn't it? 3 sets of tyres for this distance. I guess toward the end of the race, you're going to have nothing left.
Well, sort of getting that way now,
yeah,
you know, but I mean, everyone had a pretty well a fresh set for the second half of this race.
Yeah.
There's a few guys that lucked it in by the looks of it and got in before this pace car and got their tyres on, so they're going to be pretty hot because they've got fresh tyres that are right behind us. But yeah, but generally, look, mate, we're just sort of conserving a bit at the moment, and lo and behold, I think I'm 8th or 9th or something. So starting from 25th, only 34 laps into it. I'm reasonably happy with it.
Hey, Rusty, it's Daz. Hey, mate, I don't know what you're talking about racing for, but, mate, I can't wait till you come to Queensland.
I'm gonna actually start training for it. You're a dangerous man, Darryl. You're a dangerous...
Listen, before you expand on that answer, remember we're live on television, Rusty.
I know, yeah, true. I gotta admit, I'm scared. I'm scared. Anyone that knows Darryl Beatty knows what I'm talking about, so...
Yeah.
Everyone wants to know where you're going next season. When can you make an announcement about that, mate?
Well, put it this way, it's one of these cars in front of me. How's that?
Oh, that's great.
Well, on the road at the moment, you're 14th, so there's 13 cars in front of you.
Yeah.
You want to narrow that down? What is it, the Monroe safety car?
It's one of those.
Hey, Russ, that's like saying an HQ is going to win a Holden HQ race.
Why, doesn't it?
Now, you've got a fuel stop to come as well. They've got these flow restrictors in these refuelings. That's going to take a long time. You wouldn't want to gamble too much with that stop.
I must admit, you want to get in early because we've got a fuel restrictor in the hose nowadays, and the fuel comes out very slowly. So the earlier you can get in for fuel, plug the fuel in, the less time you'll be in the pit. So I think you're going to find a flurry of cars come in only about 8 laps from now.
Yeah.
They'll probably start heading in. So watch for it then, because they'll be flooding in, and really that's the most logical thing to do.
Yep. All right, mate, we'll let you get back to it, and best of luck with the rest of this race. You've got a long way to go.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoy it.
Okay.
61 laps to go for Russell Ingall and the crew. What about some major changes occurring at Castrol Perkins next year? Two drivers that have kept it going for so many years are bailing out of the driver's seat. One's bailing out of the driver's seat, one's bailing out altogether. Russell Ingall off to a new team. I think we'll get an announcement about the 1st of January on that one. And Larry Perkins, of course, finishing up his solo drive. Had a chat to Larry before. He reckons overall on the season he'd give himself and the team a 6 out of 10. Look at that. They're still trying to get rid of Paul Stokel's car number 75. That's at turn 4. We've got enough guys down there working to make sure that everything's safe. And joining us in the commentary box is Tony Cochran to talk about next season, mate. We'll have a chat to you shortly and you can explain to us what's happening in 2003, Tony. Might just check in with Craig Lowndes. You got us, Lowndesy?
Yes, I have.
How is your car holding up here? 60 laps to go, mate.
Oh, great to know. Yeah, that's going really well. The car's got great adjustment in the bars. Working well. We just got to look after the tyres, look after the fuel consumption at the moment, and sort of plug away. We had a great battle there with Richo, but just can't quite find a way around at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like you can't find a way around, Lowndesy, because you had that stop and he still came out in front of you.
Yeah, well, dopey drivers tend to stall the cars on the restart. And, I'm sort of fit in that category. I stalled it on the exit and probably gave a little bit of time, but really our guys did a great job, and one more stop to go, so hopefully we can leapfrog him there.
With these higher ambient temperatures today, is it a problem when you're running close behind another car in terms of your engine temps and things?
Well, it is compared to you guys, probably sitting up there in that air conditioning box, but look, the car inside here is not too bad. It's quite calm and cool, so got plenty of airflow, but really, this is the longest race we do all year, and it's going to be very interesting to see how the drivers pull up. Neil Crompton, obviously cracking funnies later on. It's his last race with us, and he's doing the Superman impression with his underpants on the outside of his race suit, so he's up the front there somewhere, so hopefully, it's sort of served him well.
The best news is we don't have an in-car camera in Cromley's car, so we don't have to see that until later on in the race. Good luck, mate. We'll let you get back to it.
Thank you.
Craig Lowndes, 0-0 in position number 10, but when they do the pit stop shuffle, he will bounce up a little bit higher than that, so continue under safety car conditions here. Tony, 2003. What are you excited about the most?
Well, I think it's another great year for the championship, and you know, we've listened to our fans. We've had a lot of fan input about what they'd like to see, and we hope these 300k races really prove the trick. Compulsory fuel and obviously tyre changes. So you know, we expect a very, very big year next year in the championship.
How important was it for you guys as we take a look at this calendar? The 13-round season, 1 through to 7, takes us from the Clipsal, where we start again, then Phillip Island, Eastern Creek, Winton, Barbagallo, Hidden Valley and Willowbank. But when we go across the page, how important was it to lock in the Melbourne 500 as round 9, come back here and get the tradition back on track at Sandown?
Yeah, well, being the great traditionalist that I'm known for, of course. No, look, once again, you know, we had enormous feedback from the fans, from the teams, the drivers, the team owners, and obviously with the contract expiring in Queensland, we were made a very good offer by the promoter here, IMG, and look, I think it's a great time on the calendar. It's a great racetrack with tremendous fan facilities, obviously not far from the centre of the second largest city in Australia. So, look, I think the Melbourne 500 will be an outstanding success. And we've given Willowbank 1 more year to try and get everything together up there. And we're obviously very, very keen to keep a couple of rounds at least in Queensland because of, you know, our fan base in southeast Queensland, which is so, so strong. And of course, 40% of our teams are up there, and they, you know, they love the facilities up there. And we're going to use the year to, you know, try and broaden the approach and maybe even do more races in the future in Queensland.
All right, the restart is underway as the safety car pulls off and Brad Jones goes shooting down the front straight here at Sandown. Tucked in behind car number 21 is the Valvolaine's Cummins Commodore of Jason Bargwanna.
Neil Crompton in 3rd, Tony Longhurst in 4th. There's a few lap cars in amongst that queue, so if it looks a little bit confusing, we'll lead them out for you in actual race position. Jones, Bargwanna, Crompton, that's your top three. Then Tony Longhurst in the better electrical car. Ambrose now up to 5th. Murphy, Richards in the Team Kiwi car, yet to make his stop. Stephen Richards, Stephen Johnson, Craig Lowndes up there in 10th after making his compulsory stop as well. But we've still got refueling to come, and that could throw the whole thing out again. Green flag waving as they come over the rise at the end of the back straight. Always a dangerous time, the restart of a V8 Supercar event. The car's running under safety car. Oh, big brake lock up there for Bargwanna as he sneaks down the inside of the Aussie male Ford.
Yeah, Cameron McLean avoided that trouble and went shooting through on the inside. So Bargwanna in what will be his last drive for Gary Rogers Motorsport.
Oh, look at the queue behind here. They're trying to fight their way around the lap cars.
Well, they were 3 or 4 wide coming around turn 9 there, and now there's a little bit of biff and barge between one of the Kmart cars and the Cat car as they come up the front straight.
Well, Cameron McLean is a lap car. A 600 Caterpillar Ford of Dean Canto, obviously a lap car. So the front runners now trying to push their way through the lap traffic early in this one.
Of course, according to some journalists, there's no overtaking in V8 supercars, but they obviously watch a different V8 supercar program to the one that we see on Network 10.
Rusty. Guys, I can tell you Stephen Johnson has come in for fuel. Now, while they're at it, can you believe it? Stephen has not had a drink since this race started. There's been some sort of blockage or crimp in the actual drink straw, so they're trying to clear that at the same time as giving him some fluid. So he's been under the pump since the start of this race and hasn't had a breather.
He's been sitting in a 40-degree cabin for over an hour now, Rusty, without a drink. And throw in all the physical work that he's had to do as well. And you understand his head if he's spinning by now. There's Greg Murphy tucking behind Brad Jones.
Murphy got a great restart. He's in front of Marcus Ambrose. Oh, this lap traffic.
Oh, dear.
Cameron McLean just all over the road in the VIP Pet Foods car. Look at this. There's people getting squeezed left, right and centre.
What about the battle between Murphy and Jones? Jones refuses to give way, and it's like Murphy.
And look at Stephen Richards, who got up the inside of Marcus Ambrose as a result of that lap traffic. So these lap cars are really playing havoc with these leaders coming through.
Now Murph gets him on the inside of turn 1. There goes Ambrose and Lowndes through the back markers as well. Tony, before we let you go, I just want to talk about round 13 of 2003, a special event. Back to Eastern Creek for the second time, a 400-kilometre race.
Yeah, we first time ever Avesco Events are going to run our own event, and we've got some huge announcements about that event. We're going to end the season in Sydney, a very big market for us, and we're going to launch in March next year an enormous race there, and we're very excited about that event, and we're excited about the whole calendar, and I think it's going to be an outstanding year. And if you look at the racing here today, this is going to be our main format for next year, 300k racing. Wow, it takes a bit of beating, doesn't it? I mean, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah, you're right about that. Thanks, mate, for dropping by and explaining all of that to us. Of course, you can check out that calendar at v8supercar.com.au and all the latest news as far as 2003 goes. As Tony says, there's some pretty big changes in store. Marcus Ambrose pulls into pit lane.
Sure, this will be his fuel stop unless there's some other problem with the car. As he trickles down pit lane here, he's reached that lap 40 point.
Don't forget to do your brake bias and bars, Marcus. And on your way out the pit lane, I want you to reset the fuel. There's the page button for 3 seconds.
Marcus Ambrose in, the guys say everything's good in the car. It's taking on a big load of fuel now. Obviously with these restrictors, quite a long stop. But the other factor too that Ross Stone has mentioned is that where the track is breaking up in the new section, Marcus says it's going to get worse as the day goes on.
Well, that could play havoc later in the race. Glenn Seaton in as well. The new section he's talking about is the new alignment and the come down to that little chicane before they come up the main straight. It's been realigned as part of an adjustment to the horse racing circuit. There's new bitumen down there. And after 40 laps, Marcus Ambrose comes in for what should be his one and only fuel stop. Selingle and the Castrol Commodore there, so the order now: Bargwanna, Murphy, Jones, Stephen Richards, Bright, Lowndes, Crompton, so the 200 cars running together. Bow in 8th, Scaife in 9th, Rick Kelly in 10th. Some of these cars have already started to come in for their compulsory fuel stop.
Haven't seen too much of Glenn Seaton this weekend. He finished 22nd in race 1. He's been battling around the midfield pretty much all season. 27th in the championship, and keep your eyes on Glenn Seaton racing next year. He'll be running 2 cars, we understand. Driver yet to be confirmed. Stephen Richards now comes in.
Mark Scape's coming in as well. Refueling stop. And Greg Rust is on the spot at HRT.
Guys, a number of the teams have been making inquiries to the officials here in pit lane. They are worried about the state of their rubber in these hot conditions towards the end of the race. A number of them have inquired, can they change tyres at the same time as doing this compulsory fuel stop? The answer is no. So if the cars in the latter part of the race that aren't well set up are struggling, you might see a flurry of extra stops for tyres.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of theories up and down pit lane. We were going to see more than 1 tyre stop. We've already seen 2 for a lot of the teams, and we could see a lot more. As Cameron McConville joins us in the commentary box. Cam, looks good to see you're okay, but what a frightening crash. What caused that one, you think?
Well, I know exactly what caused it, Mark. It was me. I just got my right rear on the oil, and look, I mean, when there's oil down like that, we all know there's oil there. It just annoys you when a driver does a complete lap and ruins the racetrack. But I knew the oil was there, and we're all just using a little bit more road each lap over there, and I just got the right rear on the oil, and away it went. And I was a little bit of a passenger from then on. It sort of got to the wall pretty quickly.
You're right. Did you come out of it okay, or bruised, or what? Because that was a really big, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a big impact.
No, I haven't seen it. It felt fairly big from where I was sitting, mate. But no, look, I've a bit of a headache, that's all. I'm just really down on myself that I did it. I try not to make mistakes often, and that was certainly one of them.
As David Bernard comes in for his pit stop, and a bit of fuel down there at HRT.
Another one. Holden Racing Team. Another fuel spill. That's the second one.
Well, guys, I'm a little worried about what may have caused it. There's a section up the top here. It's like a breather pipe at the top of the actual unit. And it worked like a shower for some reason towards the beginning of that fuel stop. Maybe there's pressure or back pressure or something in this fuel rig, and it sprayed out like a shower. The crew very quickly onto it. But, yeah, a little odd, this situation down here right now.
Understand that, Cam?
No, it's a different setup to what we use at Landsvale, so it could have been a little bit of pressure build up on the bleeder or something like that. But yeah, very strange.
Hearing David Bernard also had a fuel spill during his stop. Fastest man on the circuit now, Marcus Ambrose. Lap 42, he's done a 1:12.42. That's the fastest lap of the race so far. So you'd suspect that car must be using its tyres pretty well, Cam, considering getting down to a whole lot of used sets.
Well, it's a lot hotter than yesterday, Mark, and I can tell you I was sliding around a lot out there, so tyres are very much going to be an issue, particularly rear tyres.
So back into the action for the 00 car.
Quite a smart move from the Kmart racing team there, electing to bring Todd Kelly in for his fuel stop. But what actually happened a little earlier on in that safety car period when Cam went in was that they brought Todd in to take on a majority of fuel, which you are allowed to do under the safety car, but it's not counted as a compulsory pit stop. So they brought him back in only a matter of 5 laps or so later for a splash and dash, which is counted as a compulsory fuel stop. Craig Lowndes also took the opportunity to do a fuel stop as well.
I think we could see some tyre stops later in this race, Cam?
It's quite possible because it is surprising just how slippery the circuit is out there. You can see it's getting a little bit quicker, the guys coming into the 12s. But the pace is, you know, around 6, 7 tenths slower.
I was going to say, I just think I spotted some damage to Greg Murphy's car. I'm not sure if that was a result of that collision.
Can you hear me?
Now we're here, he did that as he came into pit lane.
Wait.
One of the things we've been talking about this entry.
Wait.
Gee, they're not letting him go anywhere.
Wait. No! Don't! Wait. Go.
So Greg Murphy goes back out. Now hopefully that damage to the front of the car won't have affected the engine or any of its ancillaries. Looks like he's had a pretty hard hit. Let's have a look at this. So it happened down here.
Yeah, he's dicing with Jason Bargwanna, and that's coming around the final turn twice.
Well, these two came together in far more spectacular circumstances at Phillip Island. That was an interesting incident. Now, there's 2 hits there to the front of the Kmart Commodore. Murphy rejoins the race, but we're not sure whether that's done any damage, particularly to the cooling system. Keep an eye on that. Murphy does not want that when he's looking in a strong position to take second in the championship this year. And he's had good race speed throughout the weekend.
Got a couple of drive-through penalties being issued as we speak. One involves John Faulkner, the other involves Todd Kelly. They were for breaching refueling regulations during a safety car period. So some troubles for the Kmart crew 51 with some damage to the front. And Todd Kelly to serve a drive-through penalty. We'll have a chat to Cameron McConville on the other side of this break about his future with Lansvale. We've already announced and see how he's feeling about it. Jason Bargwanna out there in car number 35. Brad Jones in car 21. Garth Tander, Steve Ellery, Simon Wills. John Faulkner down in 7th and Tony Longhurst in 8th. The green boxes indicate that they've done both of their pit stops. So Marcus Ambrose and Stephen Richards have both done theirs. More from the V8 Ultimate right after the break.
Now there's a lock-up there from Craig Lowndes, and there's another lock-up here. Faulkner's gone, Lowndes has gone. One of the Holden Racing Team cars is off. There are 5 cars off the circuit, 6, now 7. I wonder if there's some oil on that corner up there, because there is a whole... In fact, David Bernard's gone off as well. Crompton's in a sandwich there.
Yeah, watch the double O car and you just see something fire across. What would that be?
That's very bizarre. That's something in the rear end of the car, but it's obviously dumped a heap of oil because look at these guys sliding off. I mean, they really haven't had any warning. There wouldn't be any flags out at such short notice, and John's gone way into the sand trap. He's probably been worse, but there's about half a dozen cars that have all slid off.
Let's have a look at this again, Cam. There it goes.
That's, yeah, look, it's so lucky that hasn't hit another car, but something metal for sure, rear suspension, I don't know, but you can see Craig obviously struggles to make the corner, so it's something in the rear end that's broken and dumped a whole heap of oil in the process.
Well, look at the number of cars. They're just waltzing on a skating rink there. Look at them, one after the other. Really caught out a lot of competitor. Let's have a look at this again on the Nintendo replay. What comes out of this car? There it goes.
I don't know. Very odd. I'm wondering whether that is a rear brake pad, but rear brake shouldn't be a problem here, and then it wouldn't cause oil unless it's actually
we're just
broken something on the way through.
Maybe it's an oil cooler that's come loose and dumped oil everywhere. It's quite a large item.
Certainly a heap of oil down, that's for sure, because all those guys had no hope of making the corner.
Yep. Okay, mate.
Well, we're hearing on Mark Scaife's radio that he said Lowndes has dropped a ton of oil around that part of the circuit.
I think Scaife can hear us. Mark, you there? No. Can't hear us. In safety car conditions, try and get Mark Scaife's point of view on all this.
Well, the boys down in the pits will be able to sniff out what happened to that 00 motorsport car.
You're not trying to talk to me then.
And here it is. Just been trying to figure out what it was that came away from the car and caused all those dramas behind him. Obviously something fairly slippery, because about 6 or 7 cars went flying off as a result.
Scaife, it was Matty White trying to talk to you.
Oh, I did hear him, Mark, but I just ignored him.
Mate, we want to get your point of view. Do you know what happened to Lowndes' car there? We're just trying to work it out.
Well, if you have a look at my windscreen, you'll know exactly what's happened. It's dumped a huge amount of oil out of it, and I was yelling out to the guys to tell the stewards, because it's probably had half a metre or 3/4 of a metre of oil coming out of the back of it. It looks like it's you know, it's dumped a gearbox or a diff or something, because it just had oil everywhere.
We were just trying to pick up what it was, Scaife. It might have been an oil cooler or something that's come loose.
Well, honestly, Mark, I don't know, but all I know is that it was dumping oil everywhere, and we were absolutely kissed. I won't say what the real word is, but we're absolutely kissed not to go off there at the end of the straight with everyone, because it was just everywhere.
Now tell me, with all that oil all over your screen, how are you going to cope with this for the rest of the race?
Well, we've done a lap or two around here. You reckon we'll just go a bit of touch and feel? No, seriously, it's okay. Yep. I've actually given it a bit of a wash, and it's probably about half as bad as it was, so it'll be okay.
Well, we're trying to do a radio hookup between you and Craig Lowndes, so see if you can hear Craig.
No problem.
Yeah, we're going to go into the pits this lap and have a look what's wrong. Obviously, something's gone on, and we've lost some oil somewhere on the gearbox or diff. Something is let go, unfortunately, so we'll go have a look, see if we can rectify it and get some points.
Hey, Lowndes, Scaife, can you hear me, mate?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, mate, I've already got oil sponsorship. That big mobile on the front of it, I'm right with the oil stuff. So don't keep chucking it at me. It's all okay.
Oh, well, all I'm trying to do is just see how long it's going to last. I'm sort of experimenting with it all.
Oh, good work, good. Sort of the James Bond 00 car.
Exactly.
You need a little 7 at the end of it.
How are you going?
Yeah, I know, we're going really good, mate. It's always good to start a race with a stop-go penalty, you know what I mean?
Well, that's your fault for trying to come into the mobile servo too late and get fuel.
Yeah, I'm always running late to the meeting, aren't I?
You guys want to commentate the rest of the race? We'll just
no,
leave your
we're
microphones
okay. It's going to
open.
get serious at some stage.
Hey, Lounsey, something did go shooting out of the back of your car. Have you got any word from your team as to what it was?
No, I don't know. I went into turn 1. I had Jason Bryant behind me, and something went bang, and I slid off. Poor old Jace was the next victim in line, and he sort of went off further. So we'll have to. We've got to come in and have a look. Everyone's looking at the car, which is a great thing, but obviously not for the right reason.
All right, we're both watching you. So Craig, wave bye-bye to Mark.
See you, Lounsey.
Mark, wave bye-bye to Craig.
Au revoir, mate.
See you, Scapey.
See you, pal. Have a good run.
Back to business. Let's get down to it. So 46 laps remaining. Marcus Ambrose, Stephen Richards, Greg Murphy and Jason Bright are the top 4 guys to have done both of their pit stops.
Now here's the 00 car. It's gone right into the garage, so there's a serious inspection going on under here, Grant.
Yeah, well, the team spent quite some time having a look at the monitor, watching what they thought had flown out, and they said it's a cylinder that looks a lot like the oil cooler. And judging by the oil lines that are now lying underneath the car, that definitely looks like the case. They've obviously parked it, as you can see, and trying to replace it, but it looks like an oil cooler.
The oil all over the back of the car. It's dumped a ton, hasn't it, Cameron McConville?
It has, right up the back of the car, and you were right, Mark, that was a good call. So have a look on the replay. There it goes, but it must have just sort of slid under the back bumper of the back spoiler of the car, but so lucky no one hit it. And if that's fallen off, that's dumped a heap of oil. That's an oil cooler.
No wonder it trapped so many cars.
Push on fitting.
So there's some frantic work going on here. Try and get this car fixed to lose the minimum amount of time as possible.
Rag, you got enough in it? Running out? Keep going. Rag on your belly. Keep going.
One of the things that Alan Heafy was talking about earlier today, one of the things that they want to improve on at 00 Motorsport, no matter what shape or form it comes in next year.
That's always pleasant, having transmission oil tipping all over your overalls. The dirty life of a mechanic.
Yeah. Alan Heafy said to me, reliability is the biggest key that they have to knuckle down with. Engine performance, and they've had so many problems in qualifying. If he could put his key on 3 things, they were the 3 things that he wants to see improved at 00 next year when Craig Lowndes gets a new partner.
Lights are out on the safety car, so we're about to go back to racing. And that's a real shame for the 00 car. It's been very fast here throughout qualifying and certainly race 1. One of the quickest cars on the circuit all weekend. Be taken out with an ancillary problem like that. Very frustrating for Craig Lowndes and the crew. Lights are out. It's about to go back to racing. Garth Tander is at the front of the queue. He's only made 1 of his compulsory stops. The best placed man at the moment is Marcus Ambrose in the Pertec Ford. A few cars further back in the queue. There it is. He's the first of the cars to have made his compulsory stops. He's got Stephen Richards, who's in the same position right behind him. Murphy's up there too, and Bright. So there's 4 very competitively placed cars in 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th.
Around about the halfway mark. Lap 52 we've completed now. So 4:27 of Garth Tander goes through. Mark Larkham will have a new driver and 2 cars next season, and more tangles at the restart.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's got to be Jason Bargwanna doing donuts on the dirt to get back on.
Fortunately, everyone was able to miss him. Always something goes wrong. Oh, problems here too. And car 16, Stephen Richards has drilled the tyre wall.
That is a big, big crunch right underneath the nose of our camera.
Turn 4, she's all over.
And that's exactly the same spot where Neil Crompton, 27.
He was involved, I would say. Look at that point of impact.
Absolutely,
for
and Larry Perkins ends up in trouble as well. Double disaster for the Castrol team. That's right on the spot, so there's definitely oil being left behind, and Larry at the back of the pack caught it on his way around. Must have done a 360 to end up in that position. Lowndes rejoining the race. 27 will be out of it because it was a big crunch involving Neil Crompton and Stephen Richards. And look at Stevie Richards trying to get out. That's a turn 4. I was going to mention that's where Paul Stokell went in.
Maybe you can explain to the people at home, Cameron McConville, why we just see this drama erupt when we ever have a restart.
Well, I was really surprised if anyone thinks no one has a go here. I mean, this race, at the start there, it was on for young and old. Paul Radicic ran into me a couple of times. Everyone was having it, you know, red hot go. The tyres are pretty old now, and they cool off. It's a very hard compound. They cool off very easily, but everyone's been quite aggressive. You think this was a 3-lap sprint. You know, there's Barg. Looks like he got a hit from behind, maybe from Russell or Richo. I think it was Russell.
Larry in there, car 11. Oh, gee, he got hooked up too, didn't he?
So they're all being, you know, pretty aggressive at these restarts. Tyres do get skatey, and obviously the track's getting slipperier and slipperier with different oil getting put down.
Yeah, now this is the incident right underneath our camera, and you'll see 16 come straight underneath us. There he goes into the wall.
So there was 2 Castrol cars getting hit. There looks like Larry was getting turned around there. Russell or Larry by Paul Radicic, or one of the Shell cars. But Stephen must have had a hit, I would say, from Neil Crompton, looking at the damage on Neil's car, and just pushed into the tyre wall there.
Well, we had no safety cars in race 1. Now we've got a rash of them in race 2. Very warm conditions here. Lap 53 of 96. We've still got a long way to go. Stephen Richards was very competitively placed at the restart. Look at Neil Crompton. Another 00 Motorsport Falcon in trouble. The boys will check and see whether he's damaged anything. Probably in terms of the... There you go. So we've got the radiator being folded back on the engine. And if that's the case, they're going to park it. Crompton's already out of the car. Let's have another look at this from inside the Kmart machine.
They're dueling side by side into turn 3.
That's Crompton.
So Crompton's over to our right, straight up the rear of Richards, and off Stephen Richards goes. Darts off to the right. Look at the damage done to Neil Crompton's car. And Greg Murphy had a bird's eye view of all of that. Larry Perkins now comes in to inspect the damage. A touring car career that started back here at Sandown in 1977. Ended up with a broken nose on that day. After having a crash, he was 27 years old. He's now 52. And there's 159 championship starts under his belt. Daryl Beattie.
Yeah, Max Wilson, guys, has just left the pits after quite a big delay in here. They believe that the problem was from when he ran off earlier. Rocks and grit have gone into the alternator and destroyed it, and they're having an electrical problem. So they've just put a whole new alternator on it with a wiring loom.
So the going gets tough. The tough get going. Safety car is out on the circuit once again. Marcus Ambrose is now at the front of the queue and at the front of the race in the Pertec Ford, and you can see the green boxes tell you that all these guys have made their 2 compulsory stops. Murphy's right in behind there too. Jason Bright well in contention, escapes up to 4th now. Kelly up to 5th. David Bernard has been driving very hard. He's up to 6th now. Wheel, Ingle in there as well.
Right down to position 14. They've all completed both of their compulsory stops. That's why they've got the green box. Simon Wills and Jason Barguana in 15 and 16. Garth Tander in 17. Larry Perkins 18th. Stephen Johnson is holding on to position number 20. The final race, the final round of 2002. It's the Better Electrical V8 Ultimate at Sandown. 43 laps to go. Safety car conditions back in a moment.
A lot of tension on the track here. Stephen Richards, that's another angle of how he was taken out of this race. The crumpled bonnet of Neil Crompton says it all. Let's look again from behind. We'll see what happens. In a moment, Richo is going to brake, and Cromley, for some reason, did not expect that to happen and gave him one absolute hammering. Now, Crompton is out of the race, and he was very quickly out of his car. We're not sure where he is right now. Stephen Richards' car has been extracted from the track, or almost. In fact, they're still in the process of getting that car back on the back of the truck. The safety car is out, and Daryl Beattie's in pit lane.
Yeah, one of the drivers who I think's done a fabulous job, guys, is David Bernard. He gave these guys 3/4 of a lap head start. He's come through the field. He's now in 6th. And if he moves up one more spot, the PR man Crusher says he'll be on the podium for the weekend, which is a pretty awesome job.
PR man Crusher, he would have been saying that, wouldn't he? Pushing his man every chance he gets. David Bernard has done a good job, though. Other great progress in this race has been made by Jason Bright. He started 33rd. He's now up to 3rd. And Rick Kelly started 32nd. He's now up to 5th. So the 19-year-old in his first season, full season of V8 Supercar competition, doing a great job for Holden Young Lions. He's also set the second fastest lap of the race, only a fraction slower than race leader Marcus Ambrose. Rusty?
Mark, I'm down here with Castrol crew chief Jim Vale. Have you had a word to Stephen? How is he and what are his thoughts on what's happened?
He didn't say a lot, but he's obviously bitterly disappointed, and he said a few words which to the effect that Neil Compton drove like an amateur and should have his licence taken off him.
Tell me what the state of the car is like. Has he radioed, you know, what the damage and the symptoms are?
He didn't say a lot, except he's stuck in the wall and he was signing off the radio.
Pretty disappointed, Stephen Richards. Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
Well, Stephen Richards will finish his first year at Castrol Racing as the best of the Castrol bunch, 6th in the championship, 3 podium finishes and, of course, 2 seconds, 1 at Queensland and 1 at Bathurst, as he takes over the senior driving position at Castrol Perkins Racing for 2003. And what that does effectively is rule one man out of our chase for 2nd overall in the championship. Now it's still a battle between Murphy, Bright, Kelly and Ambrose. Grant Denyer.
Well, Alan Heafy, it looks like Lowndesy caused the whole field all sorts of dramas. What was it?
Well, I think he might have got a bit close to a curb up there somewhere and it's pulled the oil cooler off the diff and it's pumped all the oil out of the diff onto the road by the looks of it and over the back of the car from what we can see. And that's obviously what's caused a few people, including himself, to go off the road because I think the oil got on the back tyres. But we've brought it in and under the pace car and plugged up the cooler and put some oil back in it, and just got to keep our fingers crossed that it's still in good enough condition to get to the finish.
The news isn't much better over at Cromley's car. What happened there?
Well, I've got no idea. I haven't spoken to Neil. All I saw the thing come in and it's had a big belt in the front, and what's happened and what caused it, I don't know. I was busy with some looking at some regulations when all that happened, so haven't investigated it yet. But there's one very unhappily Cromley, I think, at the stage.
Tough day at the office. Hard luck.
Thanks.
Tough day at the office, all right, as cars start to get crunched left, right and centre, still under safety car conditions. We'll take a break from Sandown and come back. Hopefully they'll get this thing back underway. The final round of the championship on your home of motorsport, Network 10.
I spoke at the top of the show about some drivers wanting the last word in 2002, and I'm afraid some of those have been expletives here at Sandown because there has been a whole range of stuff happening as we go green again. The safety car pulls back into pit lane, and Marcus Ambrose now has some defending to do. He's at the front of the field. The guys behind him have all made the same number of stops. It's on.
Can they keep their cool this time around, Woodsy? Look at Marcus Ambrose shooting away at the restart. Now we've really got a race on our hands because all these guys, as David Bernard cuts through the inside, had to happen.
Rick Kelly goes
and
right
Cameron
off.
McLean follows him as well, but a little bit deeper from the VIP Pet Foods entry. All of these guys, as Woodsy mentioned, have completed both of their compulsory pit stops. The question now is tyre preservation. That's Simon Wills. The Emery Motorsport entry. Rodney Forbes gets tangled up on the outside of turn 4.
V8 Supercars official rent-a-car. Had a number of different drivers this year. Let's have a look at the Nintendo replay. Was there contact? Yes, indeed. Between the Haviland Commodore and the Young Lions Commodore and the Valvoline Cummins car in there too. Here's the VIP Pet Foods machine also in trouble. Let's have a look at this from the top. And you can see the Caltex Haviland Ford just hits the back of the Young Lions Commodore. Not sure whether the officials will be doing about that one. Here's the battle though, it continues and it's full on. Marcus Ambrose leading this one, but Greg Murphy under attack from Jason Bright. They're going to go side by side down the main straight. Bright well positioned on the inside for turn 1. Smoke pouring from the Brad Jones Falcon. That's a lap down. This is the battle for the lead. Mark Scaife in behind his teammate. So it's Ambrose, Greg Murphy, Jason Bright,
and then Mark Scaife and Bernard. Look at Jason Richards climbing on board for that little train there.
Jason Richards a lap car as well. Next car behind Bernard in the queue is Russell Engel in 6th, Radicic in 7th, doing a good job in the Shell Ford, fighting his way up through the field.
And what about the performance from Paul Wheel? So we understand that David Bernard is going to have to wear a drive-through penalty for that incident, but Paul Wheel has moved up into 9th position.
Drive-through penalty for David Bernard as a result of that collision with the Young Lions Commodore at turn 1. And you can see he's pretty happy about that. It's about 30 seconds is the drive-through time. So he's going to dump 30 seconds trickling down pit lane. There's Rick Kelly. He managed to get back onto the circuit. And these guys, I've got to say, are doing a terrific job. Paul Wheel in the K&J Thermal team. They're up in 9th spot. They've made both their compulsory stops and looking very competitive at this stage. Here comes David Bernard in the Caltex Haviland Falcon. Just be steam coming out of his ears. Would seem like a minute inside that car, wouldn't it, Cameron McConville?
Oh, there's nothing worse. I haven't had one actually this year, but certainly, I mean, he needs to finish, I think, 5th or 6th, we were saying, to be on the podium for the round, so he'll be absolutely spewing. But he did come down the inside fairly aggressively there, and Rick Kelly lost out of it, so the stewards would have looked at it and thought, well, Rick lost some spots, so you have to, you know, you do the crime, you've got to do the time.
Marcus Ambrose has bolted 3.4 seconds now. The lead he has over Greg Murphy. This is the battle for second between 3 TWR Commodores. Greg Murphy, Jason Bright in car 2, Mark Scaife in car 1. Paul Radisich up behind this gang. I said he's done a good job. There's the Shell Ford just in the background, under attack from the Holden Young Lions Commodore. Radisich started 29th. He's now up to 5th. So there's been some great comebacks in this race as a result of good pit strategy, smart driving. Here we are, Radisich. And he did get jumped by the Holden Young Lions Commodore, so he loses another position, and now he's under attack from John Bow. Aussie Male Ford gets a good run out of that turn. Wheels in the line as well, so too Todd Kelly. So Paul Radisich under assault in the opening laps of the restart. Yes, Bow gets him. Now Todd Kelly wants a sniff of the action. Paul Wheels in there too.
Well, Kelly got Wheel going up that main straight there. There's a bit of defensive driving going on from car 43, but Todd Kelly snuck through on the inside. What a good battle this is.
All these cars right back to Garth Tander have all made their compulsory stops. So there's a lot of competitive cars in contention here. And this is a heartening performance from Paul Radisich after what has been, without doubt, the most disastrous season for Dick Johnson Shell Helix Racing. And it culminated when the two cars tangled and went off at turn 1 of the first race in New Zealand. And I think they can't go any lower from there. I think it's recovery from now on.
Well, not only has it been the most disastrous in terms of race results, but also the most costly in terms of fixing up these things. I asked Dick Johnson how much it was. He said, well, you can't budget for it. It's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Out of 10, I asked him for his report card for the year. You know what he said? -9.5. Starting fresh. They're going to take a month off, the entire DJR crew, from December 13th through to January 13th, and they'll start testing the new car mid-February. Bit of a touch, maybe, or sideways around turn 1, and Kelly and Radisich and Paul Wheel.
Collected by the K&J car. You can see Todd Kelly went very, very deep under brakes. Locked his rears.
Saw that. So is everything okay? You're going to be able to restart?
And took Paul Radisich out in the process.
Well, I think that might make that -9.5 out of 10, -10 out of 10. And I just saw a little grass fire too there on the exit of turn 1, just where Radisich went off. Todd Kelly's car is a bit of a mess. Damage strewn all the way across the tarmac, and we've got a safety car condition.
Well, Radisich under assault there, and there was nothing you could do about that, Cameron McConville. I think I've seen you in a situation like that at the Queensland 500. A car locked up and out of control took you out of the race.
Yeah, that's right. Look, Toddler was probably trying. I mean, it's when you're in the car, it's always a different scenario. I won't be too hard on him, but it was a little bit deep under brakes. It was definitely had a big lunge, and he was slightly sideways when he got up to the B pillar. So perhaps he should have got out of it, you know. And really, it's put paid to his race with a long way to go.
Look at the flame trail that car 18 left behind as well as it shot across the grass.
He did collect the Castrol Commodore on the way through. Probably only superficial damage there. One of the Valvoline Cummins Commodores.
Definitely. Unless Jason Barguana's on stilts, Tander is out of the car. 4:27, and he is furious.
David Bernard was flying after that restart. He had a 1 minute 12.06 on lap 62. So the Caltex Haviland car really belting in some quick laps. Bernard 16th in the queue. But we've got yet another safety car period. Can you believe it? Paul Radisich, after such a great fight back, now finds himself stranded in the Sahara.
Gee, I tell you wouldn't want to be discussing driver contracts after this race. There's been some incidents, some driving incidents, but I think it's good for the race from a spectacle point of view. But gee, there's some incidents where you have to question really what some of the guys have been thinking out there today.
Well, it's a long race, isn't it? We're seeing some desperate moves under brakes. Just shows how competitive V8 Supercar racing is now when you've got a 96-lap race and these guys are prepared to stick it all on the line. It is the final race of the year, so maybe we're seeing them throw more caution to the wind than normal.
That's our defending champion at Sandown out of the picture, and also another man out of the picture in the fight for second overall on the championship. Rusty's got some news from pit lane.
Yeah, Matty, down here with Stephen Richards, and he's pretty fired up right now. Just tell us what happened.
Mate, it's the most disgustingly unprofessional piece of driving I've ever seen in V8 Supercar racing since I've been involved. When in turn one, side by side, I gave Neil a car width on the outside. He crashed into me going up to the next turn. I gave him room on the inside of the corner going around the next one. Finally, I was ahead of him. And then I don't know what happened behind him, but I got the biggest hit from behind you've ever seen, like someone didn't even use their brakes. So, yeah, I'm pretty angry.
Tell us about the state of the car, man. It looked pretty bad from our vision point of view. Obviously, it's undrivable.
Hard to say. I mean, it went into the tyres quite hard. The tyres don't generally do a lot of damage, but there was enough damage there to warrant not being able to continue.
Not the way you wanted to end the season, mate. Best of luck for 2003, though.
Thanks, Rusty. Thanks.
Well, Keyswell is currently on the radio to Paul, who's also suffering some quite bad damage at the front of his car. Keys, what was the trouble?
Oh, it's just a bit of damage they received on that last incident, just the bar. So we're going to take a risk and push on.
I bet you're looking forward to a new and improved year next year.
Yeah, you could say that. That's one of those days, though, isn't it?
Hard luck.
Thanks.
Gary, what's happened out there?
Well, I think there's a lot of things have happened. We lost radio contact with Garth after the safety car board came out, and then we noticed his car off the track. And Bargwana got involved in that punting session up the end, and we did his pit stop. And when we pulled the tyre off, one of those got a hole worn through it, so we've had to pull him back in and fix whatever's been causing the rubbing. But we don't know what's going with Garth. We've lost contact with him. And now Bargs has just gone trundling by. He's off on a picnic.
Thanks, mate.
He's one of the true characters of pit lane, Gary Rogers, no doubt about it. So here's Garth Tander's car getting rescued. They tried to tow it out with a four-wheel drive, but he's beached it so deeply, or maybe they can't even tow it back to pit lane, so they're going to stick it up on the truck. Let's have a look at this incident, Ken.
Yeah, very late sort of call. You can see Todd pulled out at the last minute. I don't think he was going to have a look, and then he decided, yeah, I'll pull out and have a look. But as soon as he did, he'd obviously started to lock the rear brakes, and as the fuel load lightens and the tyres go away, it's very difficult to lunge that deep under brakes.
There's another view high on our cherry picker. And look at Paul Wheel. He's a hapless victim in here. Bang. And he collects the Castrol Commodore on the inside. So he took a few victims with him there. Let's have a look at this from a final view, Nintendo replay. And watch this as he loops the Kmart car. The K&J thermal car's got nowhere to go. Now, Keys Wheels was saying it's just cosmetic damage to the front of the car. Hopefully it's not worse than that, because they've had a great run so far.
Russell Ingall was involved as an innocent bystander, if you like. Have you got us, Rusty?
Yeah, I'm there.
What happened there on turn one as you came around? I mean, all sorts of carnage unfolding in front of you, and you had to collect 15 on your way through, unfortunately.
I was just saying to the guys, we could still win this the way it's going. It's great.
Mate, you're in 8th position.
Yeah, no, we cruise along all right, actually. Geez, I tell you what, there's some funny things been happening. I sort of caught the tail end of it, but I just snuck out on wheelie here, and I saw Todd Kelly just going in sideways, doing a bit of a MotoGP sideways coming into the corner. And she ain't going to stop like that. I'll give her the shock tip. And I seen him go off into Radicic, and then all hell broke loose. He did a bit of a Max Wilson, keeping the gas on, but actually, you know, I've got a Holden rear quarter panel coming through my window, so I was just saying to the guys, and I've got plenty of air conditioning in here now, because the left window got smashed earlier on. The right window's been smashed. Hang on, I'll grab a piece of glass for you.
Oh, there you are.
That's so throw that in there.
Stick it in the glove box.
Oh, yeah, I've got glass. Every time I go through a corner, sounds like a landslide.
Hey, remember last time I spoke to you, you said you were going next year to a car in front of you. There was about 14 cars, now there's 7. Is it still true?
Oh, hey, let's cut the odds down. Let's cut the odds down.
No comment.
That means it is.
Too close.
You put yourself in that position, mate. You've got to avoid questions better than that. We're going to take a break. Rusty, you were still out there in 8th position, as we said. Good luck for the rest of the race, and hopefully when we speak to you next time, it'll be the finish of this incredible V8 Ultimate. Russell Ingall continues the final drive of the season. What a day this has been. Let's check the leaderboard as it stands at the moment on the Shell Helix race score. Marcus Ambrose, Greg Murphy, Jason Bright, and Mark Scaife and Rick Kelly make up our top 5. So 4 TWR Commodores are chasing down the blue oval of Marcus Ambrose out the front. John Bow has moved up to 6th. Paul Wheel in 7th. We just spoke to Rusty in 8th. Holding down a top 10er is Stephen Ellery. Larry Perkins is in position 11. Then it's Seaton, Forbes, Stephen Johnson, Simon Wills, David Bernard there in 16th. Down to 17th we go. Jason Bargwana, by the way, is just completing that pit stop. Jason Richards and Cameron McLean in 20th. Back at Sandown after this.
Ambrose, though, showing good speed from the restart after the safety car left the circuit. He has picked up nearly a second on Greg Murphy.
It's a snapshot, isn't it, of that season, exactly like you say, as Simon Wills has pulled off onto the side of the track there in car number 14. From 1 down to 6, Marcus Ambrose and Stone Brothers Racing by far and away have been the best Ford team out there. Murphy, Bright, Scaife and Rick Kelly. As you say, that TWR Empire has just been leading the charge. And then right behind Rick Kelly is John Bow, the second best Ford team, if you like, out of the Aussie Mile Racing. And it's a snapshot right there. Now, I can report that we've been scanning some of the team radios, and some team orders, if you like, have come through TWR. Mark Scaife has had a chat over the radio to Jeff Gregg to hand out some instructions to his teammate Jason Bright and also to Greg Murphy down in Kmart to just hold off on the biff and barge for a while. Let's just keep the pressure up to Marcus Ambrose, and then towards the end of this race we can all go get him together. So Mark Scaife, the series champion, is leading the calls from position number 4 at the moment. He's got a bird's eye view of what's unfolding in front of him. We just saw Garth Tander there returning to pit lane, so pretty soon we'll be able to find out exactly what happened to his car, because it's still a bit of a mystery. Lap 70 of 96, Ambrose continues to lead it out. Murphy with panel damage to the front, holding on to second. We won't see anything too spectacular from those cars in positions 2, 3 and 4 and 5, but maybe a charge from John Bow. What a performance from him from this season. He's really made such a difference in the Aussie Mile Racing, as Dean Canto comes in 600. And Kim Jones made it quite clear the difference has just been enormous, having 2 cars in the garage, 2 sets of data, and not to mention the experience, wealth of experience that a guy like John Bow brings. Grant Denyer.
Yes, it has been a great year of growth, and JB at the moment, obviously second forward in the field. Kimbo, you must be wrapped.
Yes, it is. The Pertec car's going very fast, but JB's pushing away. We had 2 different strategies. Bradley's hasn't worked, JB's has, and we're moving forward. So it's a long race still to go. You know, the tyres, we put the tyres on with more distance than what we did yesterday with 2 sets of tyres. So I think towards the end of the race it'll get very, very interesting, but the Aussie Male Falcon is doing a good job.
One of the great masters of being able to set up a car. What sort of a car is JB trying to wrestle around at this stage of the race?
Well, I'm getting over the compliment. Actually, Phil sets the car up, and we've had a race package that's been very good over both races. But when the tyres are like they are and the temperature the way it is, it's very, very tough work out there for the guys, and luckily we're getting a few safety cars so they can have some breathing space and let everything cool down the way they go again. I reckon over the next 20 laps you'll see the real guys that have got a good package move forward.
Let's hope JB's one of them. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you very much.
Kim Jones is one of the guys that I got a final end of season report card off from the team managers. He gave Aussie Male 9.5 out of 10. You know why? He said without a black flags, we could have had 2 podiums at Queensland and Indy, and without a bit of bad luck, we might have had Bathurst. So the race results haven't gone their way, but everything else that they went out to achieve at the start of 2002 has. He puts it down to one thing, the personnel. Craig Lowndes, under brakes, goes through Tony Longhurst.
Now, what a shame he had that problem with the oil filter, or oil cooler earlier in the race. Had to come in for a lengthy pit stop to rectify the problem. and that's taken Lowndes out of contention. Ambrose, 2 seconds now, the gap over Greg Murphy. He's done a 1:12.57, a 12.57 for Marcus Ambrose. Murphy a 12.78, and Ambrose pumping it out. It started out at 7/10, then it was 1.3, now it's 2 seconds. So Ambrose fighting a bit of a lone hand here against a quartet of TWR Australia Commodores. Murphy, Bright, Scaife, Kelly, John Bow, the next forward in the queue. Wheel still in there. So it looks like that collision he had with the spinning Todd Kelly has not damaged the performance of the K&J thermal machine. So Wheel very competitively placed up in 7th, Ingle in 8th, Longhurst in 9th, doing a great job in the better electrical car. Tony Longhurst tends to rise to the top of the bubble the longer the races get. Good effort too from the Super Cheap Autos team, one of the few remaining single car outfits in V8 supercar racing. And this has been a great performance. Lowndes ducks down the inside. Keep in mind he's several laps down. The Super Cheap Autos team. Wayne Jones coming in this year as new team manager for the Queensland-based squad. Wayne was telling me they're going to start bringing their engine program in-house next year. They should have a brand new BA Falcon built to the new Project Blueprint specs from the first race of 2003. And they're looking good. Look at this challenge. Up the inside goes Tony Longhurst. Russell Engel wants to argue. So Russell now trying to steal this position from Longhurst. They've been swapping positions. Russell looking very competitive in the later stages of these races. So too Stephen Ellery. Super Cheap Autos car.
This is the onboard view from the Enforcers car, looking out to car 66, and Stephen Ellery behind them has joined that list. Rusty in pit lane.
One of the most eager spectators down here at the moment. He's probably been chewing his nails a little bit too, as Ford boss Jeff Pilates. It'd be nice for you to end the year with another round victory, but we've got a way to go yet.
Oh, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. There's 26 laps to go or something, so we'll just sit here and watch.
Today marks the closure of the AU chapter. How much is everyone looking forward to the arrival of the BA race car next year?
Oh, well, we're looking forward to Project Blueprint. Hopefully we'll get some sort of parity out of it, and we'll go on from there, but I'll be happy when this year's over.
Thanks, Jeff. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Jeff Pilates, yes, delighted. Recent victory by the BA Falcon and the Wheels Car of the Year award. There's a call for tyres.
I wonder if that was out of Russell's radio. Yes, it would have been 4 tyres. You saw when Jeff Pilates was talking there, the Enforcer just took an off-road excursion.
This is what he was talking about, though. With only 3 sets of tyres, you're starting to get down to mixing and matching the best rubber that you've got left. So it's not like you're going into an ideal situation. But this is better than what he's got on the car, obviously. Really coming down to a test of endurance here. And good tyre management. And there's a delay as they're trying to get this damaged bodywork away from the front right wheel. Rusty?
Mark, I've just had a word to the team down here. They tell me, obviously, with this tyre situation, still working on this bodywork on the front right, they have had to opt to the first set of tyres they used yesterday to get Russell to the end of this one.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Running out of rubber when you've got to start dipping into yesterday's stocks. They've had a hell of a workout over almost 50 laps yesterday. There may not be a lot of speed left in this car when he gets back on the track, but this is a real shame.
It is a shame, because that's obviously as a result of the incident with Todd Kelly. That damage there to the front right. Now they finally get it on.
Go, 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 go. Looks like they managed to pull the bodywork away from that tyre just enough so it won't rub.
I'll tell you what, he's going to leave Castrol Perkins in true Ingle style, isn't he? The car's going to be battered and bruised by the end of the race, and he'll slam the door on it and it'll probably fall into 100 pieces.
Gee, Ambrose is continuing to build this lead over Greg Murphy, though, at the front of the field. It's out to 3.2 seconds now. Very consistent lap times from the Pertec car. And this is the Ingle incident. He had everything locked up on the inside, and he may have had a flat tyre even at that stage. Look at the car may have been sitting down on its front right corner. Well, there you are. So he's probably cut a tyre as he came up to the fastest part of the circuit. Look, the car just doesn't turn in at all. Look at this. So I'd say he's probably cut the tyre before he got there, and he's managed to keep it off the Armco barriers until he got it back to the pits.
It's a hairy ride, isn't it? And David Bernard gets a few puffs of smoke. I think Larry Perkins, yeah, that's Larry Perkins.
Well, looks like David's given another car a shove in the middle of the pack in his angst to fight his way back toward the front. He was running in 9th position.
You can can see the difference now that Marcus Ambrose has put on these guys. Ambrose is not in the picture. There he is. Comes around turns 3 and 4. Murphy is not catching him. There's a lap car in between. So there's position 2. Greg Murphy, half a second behind on lap 74, the last lap of the time of Marcus Ambrose.
Great tenure.
Rob Crawford, Ambrose is just sliding away from you guys inch by inch each lap. Can you catch it? Can you manage that?
He seems to be just getting a couple of tenths a lap on us. I think it's going to stay pretty stagnant the way it is at the moment. I don't think Murph can do anything about it, and I think we've just got a better package on the day.
Yesterday we saw that he was burning up his rears quite severely. Is that again the case?
I believe so. He's sneaking away from Bridie a little bit, and he seems to maintain that pace, no problems, but he just hasn't got the pace of the other bloke.
At any stage, will there be a second win where he can have a lunge?
Hopefully. He's trying to just conserve his tyres, and then we'll see about 10 laps from the end.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks.
Well, set up on the Pertec car. It's been outstanding throughout the weekend. Practice, qualifying, top 15 shootout where he came out on top. He won race 1. So it really has been a perfect weekend so far for Marcus Ambrose. And a great way for the embattled Ford Motor Company to finish what has been a very win-free season. Darryl?
All a bit of a disappointment, but it's been a bit of a biff and barge day, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. You know, Rick didn't have to do that. He had, you know, he had a much superior car, and he could have just driven around me, but he decided he wanted to hook on the back and give me a punt just on braking, and because you know the thing just locked up and couldn't stop it. So disappointing. I mean, to get up to 8th or wherever we got up to from the back was really good, and everything was going well. We're just sitting on a pace and you know trying to click off the laps and wait for all the excitement to unfold. But you know, it just really sort of finishes the year off not so well, and just a disappointment that we didn't meet, because I really wanted to finish this race.
I hope Santa brings something good.
Yeah, let's hope so, mate. Looking forward to the sock.
Thanks.
Poor Radicic out of this one, but the race, the championship race, by the way, is pretty interesting. If it stays as it is with 19 laps left, Marcus Ambrose will win the overall round and move up to 3rd overall in the championship. At the moment, Ambrose has his eyes on a round victory to finish off 2002. Murphy, Bright, Scaife and Kelly continue their TWR charge behind him. John Bowe in 6th, Paul Wheel in 7th, Bernard in 8th and Stephen Ellery down in 10th position. We'll take a break at the V8 Ultimate, the final fling for 2002.
Marcus Ambrose and Greg Murphy. It's been a yo-yo situation at the head of the field. Ambrose had a lead of more than 4 seconds. Murphy got to within 4 seconds from 2nd place, but now it's blown out to 4.7 seconds, that lead. Jason Bright is losing time to Murphy. He's in 3rd, and there's contemplation in the Holden Racing Team camp that Mark Scaife could be allowed to go through Jason Bright and have a better chance perhaps at taking Murphy and in fact Ambrose. Maybe there'll be another pit stop coming up here. We're about 17 now, I think 16 laps to go, and there's a lot of tyre wear situations happening out there, and that variation could be the difference between winning and losing.
And Scaife goes through, goes past his teammate, so the order now is Ambrose, Murphy, Scaife and then Bright. Interesting and quite weird statistic for the season for Mark Scaife. You know, he's never finished on the other side of the podium, as in 2nd or 3rd this season. He's only finished 1st, 4th, 6th, 30th, or retired. So this, if he can hold on to it, will be his first podium finish outside the top spot.
Oh, it looks like they're going to let Scaife off the leash now and have a crack at Greg Murphy, because Bright has been unable to do anything. Scaife's been sitting in behind him just to see whether Bright had the speed. But it looks like now there's been an agreement to let Scaife through and have a crack at the Kmart Commodore. It's 2.5 seconds up the road. So what can Scaife do here? 4 TWR Commodores sitting in formation for lap after lap after lap. Here's Greg Murphy. Now Murphy only has to finish 5th or better to claim 2nd place in the championship. And that is something that the Kmart team really want. I know it may sound like they're fighting over who's going to be the best of the losers, but I spoke to Kmart team manager Rob Crawford this morning. He said, no, that is very, very important to us. I know we're running under the TWR Australia umbrella, but we're a separate team to HRT. And if we can split a 1-2 finish, all the better.
And look, the other thing about it is also that Greg Murphy, if he finishes second, is the highest he's ever finished in championship history. Rusty?
Matty, during our ad break, a lot of people, particularly Russell Ingall, were concerned about the state of his right front tyre. They wanted to know what happened to car A. Well, we've got the answer. Let's have a look. This is the tyre which came off the front. Now, there was obviously contact which damaged the front guard on Russell Ingall's car, and here you can see around the circumference on the outer side of it, the way it's eaten away at the tyre, and it's exposed, as you can see, part of the steel belt. Now, here's the proof. As you can see there, it's lost a great deal of pressure, and this right front tyre was gradually going down, which is what was causing Russell Ingall all that drama.
Well, there you go. That was a rotten luck. Did very well in the opening stages of that race. Got himself into a competitive position. And he showed us so graphically the dramas that he had when he clipped the back of the spinning Todd Kelly machine. There's team manager Jeff Gregg, Holden Racing Team, watching his drivers at work. Mark Scaife has got it down to 1.8 seconds now. It was 2.5. So he's applying the thumb screws to the Kmart Commodore of Greg Murphy. There's an analysis of the last 5 laps, and you can see how Scaife is now turning up the heat. Half a second faster than Murphy on lap 82. 1/10 of a second in others, so faster than Murphy in 3 of the last 5 laps. Make no mistake, there's plenty of competition between Murphy and Scaife. I know when Scaife went out of that battle in New Zealand, he really wanted to take the fight right up to the Kiwi and beat him on home soil. So maybe there's another chance here to level the score in the final race of the year. Down bottom of the S's once again, out of there, Murphy. All cars trying to play a tyre conservation strategy. It's really going to come down to who's got the best rubber left on the car in these dying laps in terms of determining the victory here between these two in the battle for second place. Grant?
Well, the day just keeps getting worse for Craig Lowndes. He's just broken the news to his team that he's just lost 4th gear, so he will battle on, but unfortunately it's a little battle scarred, the 00 car. Of course, we saw him climbing the curbs a little bit earlier on, which possibly dislodged that oil cooler. Could it be that a little bit more curb climbing might have also just put too much tolerances and too much loading on that gearbox, which has done 4th.
He's down in 16th position now, Craig Lowndes. It's been that kind of weekend. At the scene of his last race victory this time last year. And since then, he's been stuck on 49 career race victories.
Just got overtaken there by Paul Wheel, looking up in his rearview mirror. And that's now 2 seasons since Craig Lowndes has joined the Ford stable. Has not enjoyed a round victory yet. Came awfully close on the streets of the Gold Coast, but had to finish second as a result of a count back to Jason Bargwanna. So he's come close, but not close enough. 2 seasons without a win. This is character building stuff for Craig Lowndes, who enjoyed such enormous success. Oh, problems there for Tony Longhurst. Gets it very out of shape in the better electrical Falcon. Manages to get it back on the bitumen.
Just watching the telemetry there of the 00 car, and you could have seen, if you were keeping your eyes on the gear changes, 3rd to 5th. 4th is out of the picture for Craig Lowndes. They've thrown absolutely everything at this guy this year, and he still walks away somehow with a smile on his face. You'll see it here.
There he goes, up to 50, jump from 3rd to 5th, so no 4th gear there. The ratio is pretty well matched in the 6-speed Hollinger gearbox. But it doesn't really matter that much now, because Lowndes has just got to limp around to try and finish the race. He's 16th, but of course he dropped a lap as a result of that oil cooler being ripped off. And he was very competitively placed earlier in the race.
We go back a lap and see Lowndes here. While we were on the in car, I saw a real big bump around, and Mark said that he looked in his mirror and saw Paul Wheel come past, and that was the reason why. Darryl Beattie.
1st and 7th, pretty good, even though David's been back up through the field a few times today.
Yeah, he's making hard work of it. He's got plenty of speed. There's about 9 laps to go now, so it's a pretty stressful time for us. So we're just keeping our head down and trying to keep it tidy now.
Cars have been good since you arrived here. Have you put your finger on why it's been so good?
Actually, I didn't hear you very well.
The cars have been really good since you arrived here. Have you put your finger on why they've been exceptionally good here?
Yeah, they have been good since we arrived, and also we decided that as soon as practice session started, we want to be first out the gate and hard on it as soon as it started, and we just had that attitude all weekend. This circuit actually suits the Falcon fairly well because there's not a lot of corners where the aerodynamics come into it too much.
So, no, so far so good. Just got to ride it out now.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you, no worries.
Well, Jeff, Mark has obviously pulled the pin and is deciding to have a real go here. What is the plan of attack? Are you more about trying to put pressure on Marcus? What is the approach here?
Well, obviously we'd like to get second. You know, it's. I think I don't know if we'd get Marcus, but we're certainly on Murph's tail at the moment. So I mean, it'd be nice after HRT's last couple of disasters if we could actually get on the podium up in second. So we'll see. You know, I mean, it's still 9 laps to go, but I can just look out the corner of your eye, Rusty, they're having a real go. So it'll be interesting, but we definitely want to go and see if we can get second if we can.
As TWR General Manager, at times like this, do you get nervous? Because it's every man for himself between Mark and Greg here. We should make that point, shouldn't we?
Hey, Rusty, I got my red shirt on today. All I worry about is red cars. Someone else can worry about the blue ones.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay.
Marcus Ambrose, 7.5 seconds the lead now. Look at this battle. Escape has just monstered Greg Murphy's lead since he got back in front of teammate Jason Bright. Look at that, 5 laps straight. He's taken a fair bit of time off, half a second on lap 82, almost half a second on lap 85. Murph now is responding. Bad sportsmanship flags have been shown to Stephen Ellery and Russell Engel for curb hopping. So if they continue to do that, they'll have to come in and serve a stop-go penalty, or a drive-through penalty, I should say. If this battle continues between these TWR stablemates, I won't say they're teammates, there's plenty of rivalry between these two squads. And this is a chance for Scaife, I guess, to get a bit of revenge for that shocking weekend he had at Pukekohe Raceway in New Zealand.
Revenge has played a pretty big part in 2002, from round to round and season to season. This will give us a good idea of the straight line speed of both these cars, fairly evenly matched. And they let Mark Scaife loose. A few laps back, he lassoed Greg Murphy. Has he got him here at turn 1? Goes straight past him on the inside and clean. Scaife has got him, moves up into second.
There's no need for Murph to get involved in too much cut and thrust other than personal pride. He's only got to finish 5th or better to take 2nd place in the championship. That was the goal when they rolled up to Sandown this weekend. And if he can stay where he is, he'll achieve that comfortably. Marcus Ambrose continues to open the gap to Mark Scaife. It is now 8.1 seconds. So what can Scaife do in these remaining laps? Ambrose looking well in control though. Just reversed that 2nd and 3rd position around. It just happened. Jason Bright back in 4th. Rick Kelly, look at those movers. Jason Bright up 29 positions today. Rick Kelly up 27. Great performances. John Bow, David Bernard and Paul Wheel.
So the final race of the season, when we come back, they'll be chasing down the checkered flag on 2002 on your home of motorsport.
Only a few laps to go now. You're looking at car 17, Stephen Johnson, back in 13th position. What a battle for Shell Helix Racing. Not a bad outcome. Take a look at Stephen Johnson. A good look, because there'll be a different version next season. He has vowed to reshape himself both physically and mentally for 2003, as the team indeed does that. And it's hard to imagine that the Dick Johnson Racing outfit will not be competitive as they have been this season. Very difficult year. They want to put that behind them. On that subject, Ambrose is putting them behind him in this race. 8.5 seconds his lead now. Mark Scaife has moved into 2nd place ahead of Greg Murphy, Jason Bright and Rick Kelly. Another solid performance, just off the podium as he was at Pukekohe. John Bow, one of 6 Fords in the top 10. Not a bad finish to the season for them. Bernard, Wheel, Longhurst and Ellery being the others involved here. And it is Bargwanna and Seaton ahead of Stephen Johnson. Perkins and Forbes making up the top 15. Jason Richards is a lap down for Team Kiwi, and the rumours are there he will be in a different car next season. There are at least a third of this field likely to change camps, but of course that is still up in the air. The balls are being juggled as we speak.
We almost need another round to keep you up to date with the driver changes, don't we? But I think 13 rounds is enough, and I think you're spot on when you say that there's going to be big changes, not only in Stephen Johnson for next year, but the entire Dick Johnson Racing package. Dick, in all these years of racing, made it very clear that this has been the very toughest. Tough to sleep at night when you're the team manager, the team owner. And when you've got your son there who struggled, along with Paul Radisich, and Jason Richards has thrown up a few curly ones this season, hasn't he? He's been pretty good and shown that he can definitely match it in a good car. Team Kiwi Racing will probably be a lot different next season as we come down to the final stages of 2002. And what about the job from this man? Since Friday at Sandown, he's been the one to catch straight out of the box. They couldn't go near him on the timesheets. He only had to do a few laps in qualifying to set the fastest time.
What they have to do, though, Matthew, is repeat this kind of faultless performance under the pressure of a championship situation. All through the year, we've seen a number of the teams wilting under the pressure. It's all very well to have a flawless performance when the championship's over and done with. We need to see more consistency in terms of that faultless showing when the points are up for grabs and the championship's hanging in the balance.
Well, Mark Scaife said it to Grant Denyer in that interview, didn't he? If they can do it once, there's no reason why they can't do it often. This guy will finish 2002 with 7 round championships. He was hoping to become the first man in touring car history to win 8 rounds in one season. Unless something disastrous happens out the front, it's not going to happen today for Mark Scaife. Not going to happen in 2002, but he's left behind a trailblazing year. Greg Murphy has been so consistent. He's had, well, quite a lot thrown at him as well in terms of penalties. 5 minutes, remember, at Bathurst. Dramas at Queensland. That huge crash back at Phillip Island with Jason Bargwanna. Jason Bright, also another stellar year. He's re-signed with TWR for another 2 years. Big crowd here. 31,000 at Sandown International Motor Raceway. It's a farewell this season. A landmark season in the V8 Supercar Championship. It'll all change next year. They're still throwing it down on the dirt. As they go around the final lap, Rick Kelly in 0-2 is putting pressure on his stablemate, Jason Bright, in 2. They're battling for position 4. 5 and 6 is John Bow. But as the sun sets on Sandown and the final lap of this 96 lap extravaganza to wrap up 2002, out in front, we'll zero in on a blue car. Something we haven't been able to do a lot this season, but the perfect finale. One of the most popular men in the paddock does it, and the blue oval saves its best until last, and Marcus Ambrose wins the ultimate round of 2002. Congratulations.
Great job, guys.
That's a reward for consistency. And he said it, one of the best cars he's ever driven. He takes out his 2nd ever round victory in V8 Supercars. Mark Scaife comes across the line in 2nd, and Greg Murphy comes across the line in 3rd. But overall, it will be Ambrose the winner. Murphy 2nd overall, and Scaife 3rd overall. They had a crack, but they couldn't catch the pace of Stone Brothers Racing this time around. He was quickest in qualifying, won the shootout, won race 1, and took out race 2 to complete a fantastic win for Marcus Ambrose. Greg Rust?
They're a pretty excited bunch down here at Stone Brothers Racing. Ross, thoroughly deserving. Well done. You won the Queensland 500 this year and the final round of the championship. Great effort.
Yeah, it's a good way to finish the year off. I think it's a good reward for all the guys in the team. They've just worked really hard all year, and it's been difficult at times, so we've just kept focused. It's been excellent.
What is it with this car this weekend? You had a great baseline setup. From the moment you rolled it out of the transporter, it was perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect from the moment we did roll it out of the truck. But the thing is, I think some of the other guys are only just starting to get their cars right now, so we were just that little bit ahead of them most of the weekend.
Nice feeling heading into the Christmas break. That'll give you some good momentum for 2003.
Oh, that's terrific. It's exactly what we needed. The whole team, as I say, they've worked so hard. I'm really proud of them.
Awesome effort, Ross. Well done.
Thanks.
Rob Crawford, he couldn't catch Ambrose, and he couldn't indeed hold off Mark Scaife, but in the grand scheme of things, Murph really didn't have to, did he?
No, he didn't. Well, I mean, we were playing conservative game all weekend, just so we could have 2nd in the championship. That's what we wanted to come here to achieve. And we achieved it. It's just a pity we couldn't get Todd up there.
We're talking about how this championship is seesawed. It's a hard way to make a living, isn't it?
I tell you, it is. We've had our good times and our bad times, and this makes up for it.
There's something about Greg Murphy being able to dig deep and pull a result out of nothing.
Yeah, he's always been like that, and that's Murph.
We're going to let you guys go and enjoy your 2nd place in the championship. Congratulations.
Thanks very much, Grant. Cheers.
Yeah, and on the championship standings, Marcus Ambrose has now pushed himself up to 3rd to finish. Overall, the championship finished for 2002. Scaife, of course, the champion. Greg Murphy, as Grant just said, in second. Marcus Ambrose, the best of the Fords, in third. This is overall for 2002. Jason Bright will finish in fourth. But let's wrap up race 2 of round 13, the end of a 9-month long, hard road. Marcus Ambrose wins race 2. Mark Scaife finishes second. And Greg Murphy finishes third. Bright finished fourth. Rick Kelly had a good stoush with his stablemate to come in fifth. John Bow, the second best Ford, in sixth. Then it's Bernard and Longhurst, 7 and 8. Paul Wheel in ninth. A good way to the end of the season for him. Stephen Ellery there, a top 10 to finish off. Jason Bargwanna is moving on from Gary Rogers Motorsport. Glenn Seaton will have some changes at car number 5 and his team next year. Stephen Johnson will see a fresh outfit for Shell Helix. Larry Perkins finishes his final race, individual race, at the end of a long career. And Craig Lowndes in 17th. We go right back down to the other guys who didn't finish. Cameron McConville hit it hard. What a way to finish off 2002. They waited long and hard, but Stone Brothers Racing did it again through Marcus Ambrose. We'll take a break, wrap it all up right after this.